Yeah. Like I was saying, honey, it's kind of funny. The last part of the video, the 5-hour video I was trying to do up the other day, and upload that they got it blanked out. Again, you got a doctor got infected or noticed her child was sick. Only had one test. Tested herself. Noticed husband was infected. Again, she already had couple kids. Just had a little girl in January. Now, questions I was posing is your breast milk infectious? So on and so forth. How your baby survived, how you survive, and are you still at work? Are you off duty?
Yeah.
What's going on? You look fine. They're talking about this and that. And somehow the screen recording was blacked out instead of showing the screen, because I was trying to show you the screen recording of this stupid motherfucker saying what? He's an alien an hour and 7 minutes into Thursday's talk. They keep blocking that shit in my stuff. This time I downloaded the whole shit instead of just giving you a screen recorder of the stuff, because I noticed whenever I give you snippets of their shit, they take down the whole thing. But again, you got everybody in the news things around the world talking about people with the hematological blood clots and all these stuff that are happening. It keeps trying to say that it's because you're turning back into fucking...
Black.
You're turning back black. Or if you're black, you're turning back into a mammal. That's the most retardedest Darwinism racist shit I ever heard in my life. But that's all the dude's been saying for the last several years. These fucking stupid ass people keep following him and drinking the Kool-Aid. So it's really interesting. But again, you have a doctor that they're not saying anything about her immunological system or immune, so on and so forth. Are they making antibodies or things from her and her family? Because her family recovered, as she stated. They were infected. She was infected. They all recovered. How? What treatments? So on and so forth, right? That's why I said, honey, there's a video of several people that got COVID right now. Or here's their family member. As I've been saying, it's the end of the month. Started in the beginning of the month. Hey, scan these type of people that got fucking what? Because they were just talking about yesterday, Juan Gonzalez, Amy from fucking, Democracy Now, talking about Juan Guzman's mom. They put her out, wouldn't give her no test unless she was admitted. Woman's 92 years old. You know, wouldn't do nothing for him unless you got her admitted. Now in the recording, you hear my stuff that they blacked it out. Like explained to my wife when me and my wife were listening to the thing and I showed with her, you got a fucking tiger from a month ago was tested.
I know that there are felines there too, because that's why they.
It went from fucking.
She's the only one.
You got an asymptomatic handler infected 4 tigers and 2 lions. And that's cross species right there. But they don't say nothing to you about, hey, all you dumb motherfuckers going and getting animals. You're going to infect your animals are going to reinfect you, if not infect the whole community, if not the forest, because as they stated, ferrets, felines, and so forth, which means raccoons. So I was explaining to my wife last night, raccoons and bears and so forth going through your stupid fucking human shit are going to get infected and spread this throughout the forest. You fucking stupid motherfuckers, dude. I've been stating this. Henceforth, my word tunings and so forth are fucking to help the world, insects, birds, fish, mammals, fucking Earth itself. Because this shit is an attack on Gaia itself. Not just fucking humans, stupid. But let's run around and spray disinfectants and just think about us. And not realize that all the shit that we're trying to kill to keep us fucking healthy is actually killing off the shit that's keeping that shit at bay. And the shit that you're killing off, what takes its place is something you don't want to live. And you see dengue virus and all that kind of shit is coming up rampant. Real bad, right? It's COVID. Ain't nobody out spraying and doing all this kind of stuff and blah 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 blah. I talk too much, right? Yeah, I do. But I say, fuck. At least I'm talking. At least I'm doing something. And I'm actually doing something with my body to fucking counteract the shit that I show to you. What the fuck are you guys doing? Right? You know who you are. I ain't talking to you guys and sisters. Y'all doing what needs to be done. You're taking the knocks and hit left and right every day. These fucking people just want to stick their head up their own ass and hide from reality. Drink fucking Kool-Aid and some more shit. And some more shit. And tell you, we gotta live with it. Which is called, that's a fucking victim statement, folks. Bend the fuck over and let the man rape you. If you don't struggle, then it won't hurt. Is what you're being told right now. Don't struggle, it won't hurt, everybody. It'll make it easier to go away. You got me fucked up. I've been molested, dude. No. This fucking person right here molesting you and all your family. Better fight back, get mad. Wake the fuck up. Cause Alf. That's why I think it's so funny, everybody. Tack attack, and I keep sharing it with my wife. Tack attack. What is that? CAT. Thiamine. I explained to you the cat ears. Why would I keep saying that to you? Now you're seeing what? Because of that abbreviation of such that sequence of that waveform function, you can cross from species. CAT. It's not just cat, but also cat and feline. Henceforth written on a motherfucking piece of paper that I got from what? Getting struck by lightning, nigga. And the only thing I left is pictures on a fucking fake book. To share with people and say, hey, look at this, honey. You're going to see this right here. And why it's going to be important is why? That DNA structure right there where I showed you in the pictograph of what? Egyptian writing. Saying here, read this right here. This is such. This correlates to this. Zeptepi. Because that inference of waveform that looks like cat ears is why ferns and nature helps us. And you get away from that. You get into the hydroxyl, hyboxy, carbon. Fucking shit. These idiots say why they took the link down. Put your gans underneath the fucking car exhaust. If you live in the forest, it don't do well. Well, shit, man. Mine does well in everything. Whatever. Y'all keep putting your knee pads on, following somebody that just went from being the fucking Messiah to the seal of the prophets to Alf from Samaria. His blood ain't from here, and his hair being tested said he was from Samaria. This motherfucker's Gilgamesh. Why didn't we get him to play motherfucking Gilgamesh instead of Jack Black, man? This nigga make up more stories. Right? Good old Gilgamesh. Or is there that many dumb motherfuckers out there that ain't studied nothing? I ain't got nothing but a 6th grade education, but man, look what I do with mine. Look what I do with mine. The fuck you doing with yours? And the computer with the World Wide Web in your hand. Fucking stupid people, dude. Wake your motherfucking ass up. Because what this dude say? He needs 14 million dumb people to extract their energy from them. So what's happening with these people getting blood clots and their shit like that? And this man said he could fly around. And they've been putting up more of them Starlink satellites and so forth that's connected with these motherfuckers. And he got this strews of people getting smacked with this shit, dying. Not just dying, getting fed upon. Getting the blisters, the ulcers and shit that was described. Of what would happen when the veil was lifted and the Gog and Magog start breaking through the motherfucking veil and start eating on you, fool. And start looking like what First Nation people described of what the vampires were, nigga, that you guys copied. The Pope allowed Vladimir, the fucking Count Dracula motherfucker that was impaling people and shit like that. You know why they allowed him, the church allowed him to do what he did? Because that was the only way they could fight against the Muslims, the Ottomans, the Turks, the Turkeys. Alright? Why you use skewers and shish kebabs and all that kind of shit on your barbecue pits. It's all those little methods and things that you're doing that actually signified the Muslims and the believers that were being killed by the Christian church and the Catholic church. You understand? People got some interesting backgrounds with your eugenics and Darwinism and your Newtonian physics, because that's what pushes that. And you got the Keshe Foundation fucking with the knee pads on that ideology, that motherfucking mythology, stating black people come from fucking animals, like all of us do. Supposedly, anybody that's not black, however many colors of the fucking rainbow you got in you, you get to turn into that, then you turn black. Us black folks, if you believe in color crayon shit, we revert back to mammals, so I guess we're gonna turn into a tadpole or a chimpanzee or some fucking ape or some shit. You're gonna see a fucking tail between our legs like they used to try to say to us. But most motherfuckers born with tails and shit, if you're non-motherfucking aborigines from such, you got that fucking deformity, which they call a deformity, that so many people, as you've seen Adam Sandler make a motherfucking movie about where his buddy had the little tail thing. We ain't born with that shit, you Caucasians are. Those from the Caucasus Mountain. That's why you can tell us eugenics motherfucking program, the Nazi shit, that this idiot spewing when he talks about his stuff with people coming from the Caucasus Mountains. He uses the Nazis eugenics program shit where they flew around the motherfucking world and measured people's fucking cranial capacities and lobes and shit. You understand? That's why this motherfucker, first thing they come out with, how you can tell how up to date their information is where the supposed people fucking came out of Africa, migrated to. That's how stupid you can tell how retardedly redundant this supposed fucking knowledge seeker shit that's supposed to be knowledge of the fucking world and the universe, how dumb these fucking people are, is by the supposed route that has been proven that man didn't start just in Africa. I mean, you got fucking stones, if you got stone works that got metal in it that are before fucking Homo Africanus or roofs in the sky with diamonds, the shit that this fool's trying to talk about. You got shit that's older than that. You got shit that's older than predates fucking Noah's Ark and flood and all this kind of shit. You got human footprints with dinosaur footprints, with human fucking bones with dinosaur bones. It's supposed to be millions of years apart, but again, how is a dinosaur described in the Bible? Since you fucks read the fucking watered down version of shit. Terrible lizard means dinosaur. Dinosaur is the fucking the Cthulhu and the different shit describing what? Genesis and so forth. People were fighting with. The dragon, St. Peter. Come on. The word dragon comes from dinosaur. Terrible lizard. Or you guys just kind of like blank. Or just stupid. Water the fuck down in your own fucking stupidness. I mean, shit. Thinking somebody's soul is going to revert back. How the fuck is a soul attached to evolution of the animus when it's energy? So, Chinese man is yellow, he's going to go back to black. And vice versa and this and that. What the fuck? Again, this draconian, Newtonian physics that has been proven that it is wrong.
But what you're missing out is that he makes emphasis on that Chinese guy is going to go through every nationality, not race, but nationality, to reverse back to black. So from Chinese, the guy is going to be Hungarian, I think he's going to be German, I think he's going to be somewhat a European, he says.
Yeah,
and then he's gonna be Persian, and then he's gonna be black.
Because of the way that they described, like the Nazis did, that first was the Caucasians or Aryans.
He says first comes the black, secondly comes the Aryans.
Aryans, why? Because they supposedly moved north.
German, yeah.
So they supposedly moved north. Only people that have always propagated that stupid ass shit is Nazis. And then for a guy to be trying to change science and all that shit on Earth, why you keep coming with Newtonian physics and fucking Darwinism? Straight Darwinism. Darwinism and Newtonian physics. You people retarded as fuck. And here we go, people. Man went from the Messiah to the Silver Prophets. Hey, you motherfuckers. I'm gonna make it year not, even though I've been sick. Today is the 90th day, because it's April 25th, and January 25th is when the dude came out and said, drink this Kool-Aid, and it will heal you. And you'll never get it. You never get nothing. It kills you. How come this dude always talking about now for the last 3 months? You gotta live with it. Motherfucker's still sick from his own shit. If you supposedly is a fucking alien, or some shit like he's about to tell you, how come you got sick, dude? How you get sick? From the lung doctor in Brazil helping somebody.
Enough what we've seen in the past few days, delivery boys are becoming the point of distribution of the corona. Newspaper boys, food delivery boys, hot meal delivery boys, because they must be passing through many of these clouds. And they carry it. If you have a human blood, you're at a very high risk.
You got human blood, people.
If you don't have a human blood like me,
right,
you can survive some.
I mean, fuck.
I hope a lot of you know that.
Stupid
What I
motherfucker.
say, Michael.
Right after this motherfucker says this shit, it's when he had Trump go on television and tell people to inject themselves with bleach. And use a light stick enema.
You made a good point. He has a human son.
Yeah.
So
he got a human son and a human wife. Yeah, all of a sudden you got... I'm like this, honey. Bruh. Our two babies didn't take in you because you gotta have a Rogaine shot. Because the way my blood is, as they state, my blood is different than other people on here because your fucking body attacks it. I ain't saying I'm no fucking alien, but that's just going by allopathic medicine's definition.
It's a rare blood type.
My blood type is not accepted by you. Wasn't by either one of my child's mothers. Complications. Now I'm trying to figure out if that's what this, but you just came out and said you're from Samaria.
Yeah, no.
Sumer
he's not
shit.
saying that he's O negative, like rare blood type. He's saying he's alienagenous, like he does not.
And your motherfucking blood is fucking radiated, so radiative that you can't catch COVID, but you're sick with COVID. How your wife get pregnant? How the baby get impregnated? Because her immune system would have fucking blocked the shit. You wouldn't have had placental fucking implantation shit. Are you a hybrid alien, bro? That's how you sick from the COVID. How you have a kid? I don't know. Give me some more Kool-Aid and let me fucking forget what fucking reality is.
When I was poisoned by John to be killed in the Sensano, Dr. Elio Costoa and other scientists decided to prove that I was poisoned by
Like,
poisons which are delivered
like the health
by
eggs and
the
everything. All this dude always does is just make up stories. Never brings you proof, never shows you anything. Never a working anything. Never show you him drinking the shit or putting his finger in it or anything. This, I got the study, I got the scan, but I don't have the proof. I'll bring it up and show you. Oh, motherfucker, show me. Stop coming with always with this. I mean, come on, people. You can only do that so much. I mean, shit. Be running with it. Where's the health eggs at? We're now 6 months past the date they were supposed to come out. The Magrab units are now 3 years past the date they were supposed to come out. All that shit that they said they making, that you supposed to be making like he states, you gotta make it, stupid fucks. I get paid for it. Now you're following the alien. Alf is trying to get home, people. You don't like cats, so you better watch your cat. That's why the cat's getting fucked up. Understand that, remember? Alf ate kitty cats. Homeboy liked watching television. I think he watched too much fucking TV and fucked the frontal part of his frontal lobe up. This motherfucker's talking about fucking... Wow. But he runs a motherfucking country now that's taken over several other countries, people. So, you better wake up and understand.
They took hair cutting, nail cutting, and some blood, and it was sent to a specific laboratory built for these things in Germany.
Test for aliens.
When the result came back, Dr. Costello said, Mr. Keshe, your blood is not from this planet. And your hair composition does not confirm. And then they start looking, and they found.
They start looking, and they say, fuck, man. I put my knee pads on, bend over, and let me have your Coronababy. Like Mark House and everybody said and posted. March 5th after March 4th when dude called himself the Messiah. And the lemmings were ripe for harvesting. Because you know we told these people we're going to sacrifice them, and he needs 14 million people to open a portal. The fucking month of April ain't even done yet. And we're already at 2.7.5, almost 3 million people confirmed infected. It's way higher than that. New York had done a test, random sequencing, 3,000 test subjects across New York, and it found 2 out of 5 motherfuckers got already the immunity for this shit. Well, you see me pester the hell out of my wife and ask her. I need these questions asked like this and this like this, not to try to confirm something. Because these people are stating this. If I go off their map key from last night, everyone, my autism. It's maybe about 34 to 27% of the United States population that's not been infected with this shit yet. And about 20 to 13% of us that will have immunity to it, full immunity, and be able to pass it. So what I was saying to you, honey, when I started this was today, which would be yesterday for Britain, which was very odd because fucking Democracy Now! Shared a clip of it, of the person getting a shot, but was talking shit on it, but didn't talk about it in Britain. They're talking about stuff here, and I thought it was really interesting that they video bited it, but didn't give the sound bite to it or even speak on it, that Britain just gave someone a live vaccine shot. So they're now got 800 people. They just, whatever COVID fucking strand they had,
Yeah, voluntarily got infected.
just voluntarily infected people. But as you know, it's inactive. That's why I stated and started the thing, why polio vaccine, other shit like that, why it hurt people was, here in the States, we didn't get the cheap version, except for the poor people, got the cheap version, where it was made with an alcohol and so forth, extraction, which they knew by doing such, like they did in Africa. Like you can see in the Keelia stuff about fucking the, how AIDS came about with them doing the same active viral load, but using a fucking watered down version with alcohol. The alcohol chirality of it still allowed for there to be living viral load enough to where it was still contagious, to where if it went into the body's host, because remember, they're thinking of the viral load, they're not thinking of the prophages and the bacterial macrophages. Not understanding that at that time, or understanding that at that time, what did they do? Didn't kill off that which was, but made it to where the chirality of such, they thought would make it not where it would be virulence or virulence or contagious. It actually made it to where it was contagious because of the way that they fucking manufactured the shit. And understand this, but for like the last 40 years, they're still doing what? Putting out that vaccine. That's the shit that fucking Bill Gates and other people are doing, where they do the knockoff cheap alcohol chirality, the versions of it. You understand?
Yeah.
That's where Injoi got sick. That's where Ross Harold Booth, rest in peace, why he had, how he got fucking polio here.
And they're in the pigs, trial thing that they did. Keshe acknowledges that it has a energy field to it, that it's, 3 to, they say 1 feet, like even the samples, the extraction samples of blood that they've done for the pigs, they're telling the people to, when they're transferring to the laboratory and when they're held in the laboratory, to have them 1 feet apart, or 1 meter apart, 3 feet.
Contamination.
And so it makes total sense that I know Jay did not drink it, but just being in the presence of it. But so if he acknowledges that being in the presence of it, it has a feel, then why does he tell people that they're stupid when they just want to do the plasmatic resonance?
Placing a vial of the
Yeah,
Kool-Aid
placing a
inside
vial
of
without, yeah.
placing a vial of the Kool-Aid inside of another jar of just water, and then drinking that water through energy sympathetic resonant transference.
Stupid? Keep doing it.
You're watering it down. You gotta shake it up and drink the Kool-Aid.
So he uses as a strong point, like a selling point, but then when it's like
When it comes down to it,
practicity and
no, we're not using the energy, you're using the bulk. Which by doing such, manufacturing of the shit alone is fucking toxic as fuck to the environment. We've been rinsing down zinc carbonate into the oceans, the water streams. Man's been saying he wanted the people to do that for the last 10 years. That's what he's been getting them to do. They've been terraforming our earth by doing such. People wake up in that shit. Insane.
It's somewhere in the galaxies. She said, "This is where you come from. You're not from here."
You're not from here, right?
Must have felt it. Must have had touched. And it's strange, what we've seen in the past few days.
Remember, this is Keshe knowledge.
Delivery boys are becoming the point of distribution of the corona. Newspaper boys, food delivery boys, hot meal delivery boys, because they must be passing through many of these clouds.
Because we got them on our team, and we got people infected
and they
running
carry
shit around everywhere.
If you have a human blood, you're at a very high risk. If you don't have a human blood like me, you can survive some of it.
What about the tiger that got sick, boy?
I hope a lot of you know
I
about
was saying last night.
what I say, Michael. Well,
This stupid fuck's saying all this stupid shit, right? What I've been saying is, the tiger got sick. It lost weight. That's why this shit attacks your gastric. It does exactly like it did to the pigs. It's like the person I showed you at the end of my video. Those stars that explain the same. Shit, dude, got sweaty. Eating a lot. Remember I showed you that thing?
Eating a lot more,
Dude,
sleeping
eating
a lot, but still losing 13
Sweating,
pounds
he
in a
lost
week.
13 pounds in a week. That's because listeria and this shit eats off your body through EET, electrostatic electron transport. By breeding people with this shit in their body, it's going to make everyone consume a whole lot more food and so forth. A whole lot more shit. A whole lot less kelia in their own body and alternatives to their energy. A whole lot less people fasting like they should be right now. A whole lot more people just...
And never satisfied.
Yep. Because it's not them that's not satisfied, it's the fucking shit on them eating. That's why people don't live the way they did in the Bible no more. Because you dummies keep eating shit that eat you.
was poisoned by John to be killed in the Sensano. Dr. Elia Kostova and other scientists decided to prove that I was poisoned by the poisons which were delivered by John.
By who?
They took hair cutting, nail cutting, and some blood, and it was sent to a specific laboratory built for these things in Germany. When the result came back, Dr. Kostova said, Mr. Keshe, your blood is not from this planet. And your hair composition does not confirm. And then they start looking, and they found the planets somewhere in the galaxies. She said, this is where you come from. You're not from here. So this has become a joke. We say we are not from this planet because we have the scientific proof of it. Maybe this is why so many attempts in changing things in respect to us has not worked. I think we have a copy of this report somewhere, and Dr. Kostova has a copy somewhere too.
You think that if you're gonna
The blood is highly radioactive, and blood is of order which cannot absorb many things, or the structure of what is being detected by laboratories. So, if mankind is going through this process, post-mortem, post-corona, pushes you in a way to two choices. As is the tradition, I want to be anything but black. as many
Go
of
for
you
the
white
vaccine.
people will take that destination and that mentality, because now it is not a possibility, it's a certainty.
Otherwise, if you don't want to change
Every
colors,
time
you
you
can
get
follow
hit
me.
by corona,
My name is Alf.
one layer of the field will come up.
Yep.
Till gradually you become from, if let's say Scandinavia, you become
But you damn
Turkish
black
looking,
people,
and then you become
you're just
Iranian
turning into
looking, and then
monkeys.
you become
So you die.
Arab looking, and then you
Sorry.
become, as the layers rubs off, you become black. If this has been your biggest nightmare, now it gives you another incentive to jump to the soul. But don't forget, the soul is truthful to its facts and will bring you back. We will see many. When we announced the first change of color to Corona last week, actually it came very...
Now listen to what he says here, people. It's like the pigs. Somehow they pulled a Major Pain movie, and where his buddy got his leg fucked up, and he says, "Let me see your hand," and he breaks the dude's finger because the guy's sitting there screaming about his fucking leg, and he breaks his finger and says, "No, there you go, you're better." And the guy's like fucking screaming at his leg and then at his hand, and he goes, "Well, you know."
Just divert the attention.
Right.
So that's what pain is.
But that's what pain is. And curing something is when it's no more, or a derivative of something, or something mutated. When you take, and you know that putting your shit next to something is going to make a double-stranded virus into a single-stranded virus, which comes from a tick, swine flu. If you mutate it to blue ear, and you tell people it's because of the emotion of the pig, but somehow, the fuck does the emotion of the pig have to do with you mutating a gastro virus into something that's able to go past the blood-brain barrier, and then you mutate it back to PSRV, which is something that makes pigs bloat up and is a genital disease, and give them antibiotics and so forth. And you breed that for several years and get people to eat it, and then tell people that somehow the CIA infected you by you eating infected meat, but I thought you cured. So why do you use the description of, "You're infected because you ate my infected meat"? That's now going to have you change colors, because what do? We tell you what's going to happen because we get people to drink this shit in a certain mix, like he's telling you right here, that this is how we knew people were going to change colors, because we done switched to pig fucking... Remember, a month now ago, they replaced all the pigs herd in China. Almost all the world's pigs had died, but now they're all bred on this shit from the Keshe space virus program. Who's telling you you're all gonna change colors and shit, but like I'm gonna show you, I want to know, is a tiger gonna change his spots? And like you can't really hear properly in the other video that I did of a live recording of this shit, or the video they blocked from going up. Hopefully this one goes up. Otherwise I'll have to do a fucking screen mirror of it somehow. It's really interesting that the screen mirror, this video came out black, but the audio's there. These people are disgusting, dude, what they're doing. Sitting here finishing up Elder's piece. Learning a lot while I'm doing it. A lot of inner work and so forth. It's crazy. But yeah, the tiger. And then you got... I'll let my wife hear about the nurse. Not the nurse, but the doctor. And you gotta ask yourself again. This old doctor's family was infected from a child to her, when no questions are asked. But then you got what this tiger thing you're gonna see. The fucking news people go to the fact of stating, well, it's the first reported tiger to be infected They don't go, oh my god, this is the first human to fucking animal transmission. Is this shit gonna go back to fucking humans? Right? Anyhow.
How did the tiger got it? From the worker.
Asymptomatic worker, like I was describing to you, be it that the person was asymptomatic, the prophages inside of the virus or COVID itself had tripped so that the immune system of the carrier, a host of the host biome, doesn't recognize and go after the virulence. Therefore, because of that change in the membrane, why it's kind of retarded that they're doing what they're doing in Britain, like I was saying with fucking Democracy Now, that they show the lady getting a shot but they don't speak on it. That in that country they're doing weakened live strain vax to try to build an immune system in the person where they can take that blood immunity and put it into another person and supposedly have immune system.
But there's a one strand, it's not...
One strand, or they don't even know if it will actually pass on, because again, they don't even know if immunity to it will actually, it's for the Dremel, immunity to it will actually give you immunity to the other strands or for the supposed second wave. Do you understand? And now here in America, they got those people that they inoculated with that's taken 18-month, 14-month trial of not a open vaccine or a vac, but of what? A messenger RNA vaccine. Of a abbreviation or a chirality of the fucking strain. And it's like, what strain did you guys use to do such? Because as they always state, like I laughed and made in the video and talked about, as they state, if you don't get the vac and I got the vac, then my vac don't work. Well, what the fuck is the point of the vaccine? How does the vaccine not work if you vaccine everybody, but one person doesn't get vaccine and your vaccine immunity goes away? That's just retarded to me. But hey everybody, we all need a vaccine so that we can fucking what?
Funny way, by husband in Tehran, who his wife and children live outside.
They were normal.
And when
we gave them our
we
shit,
gave the support, the color changed.
Yep. What? What did you say?
Which means
we did it.
Reporting
but we're
all
gonna
these
tell you it's
color
COVID.
exchanges, people having a blood or bruised skin. Now the cells in the dimension of the orientation of the skin of the man has taken a shortcut.
It's no longer melanation that gives you your skin color, people.
Orientation has changed.
Now it's your calcium.
By orientation of the field strength of the cell. In so many ways, they always say the whole structure of mankind will go
brain fart.
1 second, please.
Brain fart, people, like a motherfucker. Shit's just firing so quick, baby. This is, oh shit, so much shit to lie to these people about. What do I pick out? What do I say to them? These dummies are just eating this shit up.
The operation of the cell.
Here we go. We'll tell
has
them
to
this.
be understood in its totality.
Right.
And in so many ways,
I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
The doctors and the scientists have to go one step further. to understand that the total structure of the physical body, physical cells, has taken a new dimension, and we have to live with it.
What happened to eradicate it and kill it and all
And
that?
in so many ways,
And you guys got the technology to get rid of this stuff, but
you live
there's 3 months
In-
of you got to live with it.
Northern Europe, and your wife, your child, your husband, your mother, your father goes to the hospital blonde blue and comes back black skin and face.
I charged it.
Would you deny him? Would you reject him? Or would you reject yourself?
Right, but you ain't
Don't
changed color
forget.
yet.
Every day you went to the hospital and saw him changing gradually.
Right, you ain't changed it yet. What he's
Then
talking about is these poor people
Most
right
of
here.
you felt it. Most of had touched it and felt it in skin, on your breathing and everything
Right.
else.
Let's see what this idiot's saying up here.
I think women would love me so much that they don't have time to spend in the kitchen anymore.
I make one recommendation. Talk to your soul. If before you go to sleep, talk to your soul. Everything's going to be fine. Stop talking
Well, I
to
sit
everything.
down, spend time with it. I talk. If I could cuddle, I would have cuddle, but it's not happening in the last couple nights.
Listen to me.
My
If
feeling
you,
was to remake
listen
the
to-
whole thing.
listen to me. If you quiet your mind, just don't think. Don't think logically. Just quiet your mind.
Listen to
sit
this
in front
lady.
of it. See what happens. Don't.
She's always coming with spiritualism, and Keshe's always talking shit on her. I'm talking shit on anybody that talks about spiritualism. This is what's interesting. Now I'm gonna have to listen to this whole shit because I only got an hour and 30 minutes into it. So I was like, wow, dude, you're out the hook, bruh. You're out the hook. So there's your CU and your zinc. And your bullshit. And your fucking NOH. And your caustic soda, which is fucking Drano you're drinking.
Don't think. The minute you think, you're out of it. Don't think.
Follow blindly.
Till the wife doesn't agree. She says, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can't think, you can't think.
Well, she said, if all these things are correct, can you read my mind at the moment? And then I can tell you, okay, you guys are right.
And
So she
listen
was
to me. I
I'm
don't
gonna
have.
tell you something. As I just stop, I'm gonna answer you very nicely. Your mind is too. How I'm gonna put it without saying too much. It's a typical me. I know everything, and then if he can do that, I can do it. It's exactly like Christ. If he raised the dead, I believe in it. I leave that to believe in it when you need it. It's very much I explained in the Keshe Foundation, Care for Society. We don't give any certificates, and we have many students come and go. And I realize why we don't give certificate to people who spend 2 years, 3 years, 5 years in the Keshe Foundation Special Institute as students.
Paying
Because when the
$10,000 a
time came,
month
they all failed because they didn't even know how to make a cup.
or more.
Most of the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers came for theoretical to understand, to make the flight system.
So
They
many
forgot the
years.
basics, how to make gases. And when the corona came, they all got it because they didn't know how to make it. So, in so many ways,
Make what?
I don't need to read your mind.
I don't need to read your
I
mind.
knew you're a first child. That was enough for me. So I can read the rest of it for you too.
Wow.
Yeah,
And,
she's so smart. She said I
Actually,
was listening to one of the lectures to that we had before, and then on our previous lecture, he said we can later on we can change our face and we can appear in different face. And then she said, "Can you appear in different face next time?"
What does she like? White, blue eyes? Or would she like a Chinese
I've got blue
version?
eyes. I've got blue eyes, so I reckon blue eyes would do.
Maybe that's what she doesn't want, you see?
She wants a black
It should
man.
be brown eyes. How come you're Iranian and you've got the blue eyes? You come from the north.
Well, that's $1 million question.
I don't know. Maybe that's why. Um, I'll tell you a joke about read my mind, but I think it's not the place for it. Any other question, please? Rick, you want to say something?
Well, I just wanted to note that you're talking about reading minds, and you've read his mind that he was Iranian, that he was firstborn, that his wife was Iranian and firstborn, and you threw in the blue eyes just for a bonus there. So I think you did pretty good, Mr. Keshe, without.
No,
actually,
the thing is the blue eyes.
The thing is, that's everything that you can fucking see by looking at somebody's what? You can Google search a motherfucker. And oh my god, your wife's Iranian and you're Iranian and you have blue eyes. I'm looking at your profile picture, dog. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is so profound that you have mind reading abilities because you're an alien now, buddy. And not a messiah of the Solar Prophets. Why don't you do like what we share and do, or my wife and I, as you can see through countless things, where we grab a Keshe Lemming and scan him and post it and show exactly what they're going through at that fucking very moment. And it's really interesting when they, I didn't tell you that. Yeah, you're embodying this. How do you know? I don't know. I'm on this side of the world and you're on that side of the world, people. And I'm telling you stuff like you can see in all of our readings and so forth. It's information that we get that no one else knows other than the fucking person that is the client. Or the person we're doing the reading on, if you wish to say, our target. Alright. Come on, dude. Give us some information you can't get offline. Tell us some shit that's in his mind. Right? This is retarded shit these people do. It's sad.
We have blue eyes in North Africa. My grandmother used to have, my great grandmother used to have blue eyes. We have blue eyes in Iran, and it's very much a beautiful, or very shiny green eyes, specific green eyes in Iran. We see it in North Kashmir too. It's very common. Iranians, we have some blue eyes. But we don't know where they came from. Okay.
Well,
Any
thank
other
you very much,
question?
Keshe. I will see you next time.
Enjoy your korma sabzi.
Thank
And
you.
I hope you put, what do you call it, you have enough, what do you call it, strength to pull you through where it needs to be.
Inshallah. I hope so.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. Sorry for too much, talking and all these things. Thank you.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
The guy just tried to say inshallah, but said it in the most fucked up way and laziest way you can. Man says you're stupid if you believe in spiritualism and other things. That's why the woman always speaks up and talks on it. They've written their own religion, raised their flag March 12th in Iran. The man says inshallah, which is God's will. God willing, may it happen. Interesting.
It's a strange. They're having their dinner. In Europe, we are ready for lunch. In America, they just wake up for their breakfast. This planet is always hungry.
But always full too, you could say. Depends which part you're looking at, I guess.
Yeah.
We have a question from Abood in YouTube, and we also have Wayne with his hand up. So Abood says, Dear Mayran, I need your help regarding the relationship between...
I'm trying to figure out how that dude just let the comment or whatnot, because when I look at it, it says comments are turned off. Whenever I watch the shit, for me, it's this comments turned off because I be trying to fucking ask these people shit.
Me and my son, would you please help me regarding the cup of man, if it helps to improve our relationship?
Right. Now you're on the cup of man, kids. Remember, 90 days ago on January 25th, he released the One Cup, One Life. Wuhan eradicates the coronavirus. Kool-Aid. All you needed was one cup. You're saved. It's all you needed. Now you're on what? The cup of man. Which is cup number 4, but they erased cup number 2. And they're calling this one cup number 3. When it's the 4th plasma they were giving to the pigs. When they were telling them and having the farmers, as my wife read to you guys, they were giving the plasma, supposed plasma shit, and also giving antibiotics to the pigs. And doing chimeric, breeding a tick-borne illness into a fucking this shit that we have now.
I thank you if you help me.
What kind of relationship is that? And why do you look at the cup of life to change your relationship? Elevate your soul, and if there is anything to be resolved, it will be resolved. This is what we call trust. Like the other guy, for 2 nights he lost the dreams. Now he's desperate, there's something wrong. But he has to understand, you have to get to the point that you can, in a way, be lucky enough to receive, to raise the level of your soul, the strength of it, to understand more. And
all you hear him doing now is copying our work, honey. That's sad. Let's see how much memory we got, folks. An hour used that much. We gonna go to the old tiger. So, tiger in the spots, and then we'll do this right here with this is the doctor that I'm gonna have. We gonna douse this lady, the kids and shit, and her, and see what's really going on, because there's some interesting shit. Remember, our president, right after this idiot stated this shit that he's an alien, homeboy come out and said, we'll do this right here. Trump and bleach. It's from yesterday's search.
Well, today, the governor of Maryland had to warn citizens to not ingest or inject disinfectants into their bodies. This came after the state received more than 100 calls to its emergency hotline asking for guidance. And to be clear, that is dangerous. The warning came after President Trump suggested scientists look into disinfectants as a treatment, a way to internally cleanse the body. CBS's Paula Reed is at the White House. And Paula, what's the president saying tonight?
See who's being controlled
Nora,
by
today
the
the president tried to walk back his suggestion that humans could be injected with disinfectants to fight COVID-19. Now, he proposed this idea after listening to a presentation where it was mentioned that bleach is effective against the virus on hard surfaces and in the air.
Of the radical left.
President Trump claimed today he was just kidding when he suggested injecting disinfectant to fight coronavirus.
But I was asking a very sarcastic question to the reporters in the room about disinfectant on the inside.
But there was no trace of sarcasm when he said this Thursday night.
And is there a way we can do something like that?
And that's the fucking media.
Injection inside or almost a cleaning, because you see it gets in the lungs and it There's a tremendous number along, so it'd be interesting to check that.
Cameras captured Dr. Deborah Birx appearing to wince as the president made those remarks. The makers of Lysol issued a statement warning that under no circumstance should our disinfectant products be administered into the human body.
If people are listening to even a sarcastic remark like that could potentially be actionable, again, it could lead to people being harmed or killed.
The president also wondered aloud about the prospects of UV light, shown to kill some viruses, but also to cause cancer.
Supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light.
Dr. Birx dismissed the suggestion.
That is a treatment. I've not seen heat or light.
But today, the president doubled down.
I'd like them now to look as it pertains to the human body.
The president has repeatedly clashed with his medical advisors.
No, I don't agree with him on that.
And endorsed malaria drug hydroxychloroquine as a possible treatment.
We have some very good signs.
But today, the FDA warned people not to take the drug to treat COVID-19 outside of formal healthcare settings because it could cause life-threatening heart problems. Tonight, the president left his task force briefing after just 22 minutes. That is a record. He took no questions from reporters. Nora?
And a first. All right, Paula, thank you.
Right. This other fuckboy tells us.
So, what we have said.
Fuckboy tells us people
Must have felt it. Must have had touched it and felt it in the skin, on your breathing and everything else. When you go through supermarkets, which now is the only place where most of the in the West we shake hand, and those of you who turn black to shake hand with a white man, you trigger the process of the transformation to black. Is it a frightening truth, or is it a welcoming fact? Then that shows the state of your understanding of your own creation. Don't forget,
to infect Trump.
This virus did not come by injection. It came through the air we breathe. And all of us, doesn't matter what shape, color, race, animal, fish, tree, breathe from the same pot. What was in my lung few minutes ago, in me exhaling becomes what you take.
And I'm infected.
A few minutes later.
You're infected.
And in so many ways, the truth has come home. And I said, what are we fighting for? And in so many ways, how many of you would like to go shake hands with Trumpy?
Right there.
When
hour
you
and 2 minutes in,
had a change of skin.
23 minutes in. Infected presidents. You understand?
From what I see, and the research data which we're gathering around the Keshe Lemmings with Corona, show what we have said. Must have felt it. Must have had touched. Must have felt it. Must have had touched it. Must have felt it. Must have had touched it and felt it.
Fuck that. That's crazy. This is from a month ago.
A 4-year-old female tiger at New York City's Bronx Zoo has tested positive for the coronavirus. Officials say Nadia first began showing signs of the...
You can look in my post from a month ago and see that I had those in the titles. Several of them, you still took it down. But pay attention, folks. The tiger looks just like the fucking pigs in the quiche Foundation stuff. As soon as it goes to the gastric, how'd they know the cat was sick? Funky cough, and cat's appetite went.
The virus on March 27th after developing a dry cough. They say the tiger was exposed to an asymptomatic worker at the zoo. 6 other large cats are also showing symptoms, but they are all expected to be okay. Authorities believe it is the first confirmed COVID-19 infection of a tiger in the U.S. Brian Larson.
Now, you see the way she says that shit so nonchalantly? But it's not, hey, this is the fucking first case of human to animal transfer. Is this gonna come back to us? Right? Nothing, people. Just, hey, this is the first fucking tiger in America to be... But not just a tiger. Several other tigers and a lion got infected too. So there's cross species. And this shit supposedly came from a wet market. And if you remember the wet market, the 14 people out of the first original 31, they did not get infected at the wet market. They went to the wet market. So we can keep playing the lie that it started at the wet market. What do you think this person gave to the tiger? They feed these animals beef and shit like that, and poultry, and pig, and flanks, raw. They don't feed them cooked meat. So, did the handler get infected from the meat given to the animal? Or did the animal get infected from the meat? Or did he get infected from the person that's supposedly asymptomatic? You understand?
Joins me now. He's a registered nurse and CEO of Restore a Pet, a health supplement company for pets.
So all he's gonna do is give you a paid fucking bullshit answer that he can't actually answer, and is gonna retract and redact on himself and pull some doublespeak bullshit to where he don't get himself in trouble, to where he literally doesn't fucking say anything that means a goddamn shit. Are you following along, people? He's gonna tell you the sky is blue, and then tell you some other shit. You understand? Because somehow he's gonna tell you can infect your animal, but your animal can't reinfect you, but can infect other animals. Right? How does that work? And you see everybody that's out there that can't make their own alternative source of energy, got lithium issues, that got to run around and all that kind of stuff because they trapped in their house. What they've been showing that there's huge increase of people adopting animals like they did in Australia. All it's gonna do is breed this shit and make it spread. Wake up, dummies. Again, these people have no idea. And here you are seeing this shit showing that a motherfucking tiger got infected by a human. You understand? And we'll play the game that somehow the tiger can't reinfect you. Right? Because you hear him state that it's not like a zoo in several newscastings in the last day or so, where they talk about a wet market, and somebody stated, it's not like the zoo. How come the zoo animals ain't getting sick? Well, here you are, people. The fucking zoo animal got sick. Right?
Hi, Brian. Thanks so much for joining us. So, can humans get coronavirus from animals?
Yeah, so there's currently no evidence whatsoever that humans can get COVID-19, the current coronavirus, from animals. We are seeing these rare instances of animals, pets.
So what did this shit right there? So how did somebody get this shit in the wet market, kids? If it can't be passed to people from animals. Think about it, come on now. 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 Because again, dude's gonna say that and he's gonna come with some shit.
getting coronavirus from humans, but ultimately we believe that this is really a minimal risk, and we believe that some basic steps, some precautions are going to be able to protect against this.
And so if your pet is showing symptoms of, respiratory distress or other symptoms as this tiger at the Bronx Zoo was showing, should you try to get your pet tested for COVID-19?
Yeah, so routine COVID-19 testing among pets is really not something.
Routine testing of COVID-19 among humans that ain't got a higher tax bracket and worth money like a fucking tiger. We just don't got routine testing, period. Right? We're just in our house looking at each other, freaking out because our sacral solar plexus and root chakras fucked up, watching a bunch of bullshit on Netflix and fucking Fox News, nebulizing some chlorine and shit. And if they ain't doing that, getting a flu shot and coming up motherfucking positive for COVID like they showed in the test study, that their fucking nucleotoid tests and shit is showing people that have gotten flu shots and other things like they come up with COVID. So what's really going on? What's in the numbers, man? Then you got the Keshe Kool-Aid kids.
Thing that's occurring, and again, it's very, very unlikely that if a pet was demonstrating some upper respiratory symptoms, that would be due to COVID-19. We have seen instances of cats being infected with COVID-19 in the lab, and they were ultimately asymptomatic, and there have been 2 dogs that have been known to test a weak positive.
So, what'd you just hear? They're testing this shit on poor animals in the lab. The cats caught it. They're asymptomatic. How did the fucking tiger get it? From someone that was asymptomatic, which means the viral load in the body is not recognized by the immune system, which means the receptor has been changed. Therefore, that's how the tiger got infected by the human. In the asymptomatic stage, because it's prophages and shit mutate, and the virus is the bacterial macrophages, what give the morons and give the adaptability to either be more virulent, meaning more contagious, or less contagious, or less dangerous, or more dangerous, as this shit's getting more dangerous. And this receptor cell that's on it is cross species. Really interesting that only Latinos and African Americans, if you believe in color crayon shit, are dying from this stuff at an alarming rate, and the only people that are really recovering that are getting the type S and L are Caucasians. And you got this dude talking about Darwinism and eugenics program shit, that us that are already down to the center core of our Tootsie Pop we just die. And everybody else gets to be an owl, and fucking lick their Tootsie Pop down till it gets to the Tootsie Roll core. And de-evolves in motherfucking Darwinism type retarded shit.
For coronavirus. Those dogs also were asymptomatic. Ferrets, as a sort of unique group that are sometimes household pets, can demonstrate a...
So ferrets, which are illegal in California, but people have them. Ferrets, as you know, are part of what family? And if you go by dumbass Keshe shit and Darwinism, that family tree of ferrets, you know, that encompasses bears and so forth. So, this shit's gonna spread into our wildlife, people. Bears and other things go into campsites and eat food and eat fecal matter and other things, because this stuff is passed in our urine and other things. I mean, you have to take water to its boiling point to kill this shit.
fever and a cough and can be infected with COVID-19, but they're sort of something of an outlier at this point.
And don't scientists believe, though, that this particular virus, this particular coronavirus, originated with animals?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So coronaviruses are unique in the fact that they have a little protein spike that ultimately is able to attach to certain cells. And that little protein is rapidly mutating. And ultimately that protein was able to, we believe, go from a bat to ultimately infect a human. And that ACE2 protein, that protein is common among a number of pets. So that's part of the reason why you're seeing this get ultimately adopted in some pets and those pets being infected, but those pets are not symptomatic, and it's not believed that they can transmit the disease back to humans. But yes, that is what is so dangerous about COVID-19, is the fact that it is able to rapidly evolve and mutate.
And so if you happen to be unlucky enough to, become infected with this virus, you're quarantining yourself. Should you also quarantine yourself from your pet? Could your pet then...
Very close attention to this doublespeak here. Very, very close attention to this doublespeak, people. This shit's so crazy, this doublespeak right here is insane. What both of these motherfuckers do, because they do it worse than Keshe and fucking Trump. And Bolsonaro in Brazil, and Duterte, which again, I'll be 48 this November, and for the first time in my life, I heard a democratic country or president claim he's going to put his country underneath martial law, the Philippines, for the communist rebels. When I was a kid, I heard about the Communist Party and that dude that had the fucking bird shit baby mark on his head. On the fucking dude before Putin. Shit's really getting interesting, folks. Listen to this doublespeak. It's insane. Listen to this doublespeak, honey. Think about if we had animals, but we don't. Think about it. The other day you talking about getting a dog and stuff. Listen to the doublespeak. Think all the people that you know that got animal and so forth.
Carry some of the virus on his or her fur to other family members in your house?
Absolutely. So, I mean, we know that the coronavirus ultimately is able to survive on surfaces for hours to days. And if nothing else proves to be true, we know that a pet's skin and fur is ultimately a surface that can theoretically harbor COVID-19. So if a person is infected with COVID-19 or believes they may be infected, then in the same way that they really should be quarantining from other human members of the family, they should be quarantining from their pets. And that might include having someone else provide care for the pet if at all possible. If that's not possible, then the same precautions that would be true for human-to-human transfer risk, meaning proper hand hygiene being critical, needs to also be observed with the pet. So that means washing your hands thoroughly for at least 20 seconds, providing the necessary care, and then washing your hands again for 20 seconds before and after contact.
It is such a bitter pill for a lot of quarantined people to swallow. I mean, if they've gotten themselves shut off from the rest of their family in a basement or a room, to then not be able to derive some comfort from the family pet on top of that, it must be so difficult. But you say with precautions, you can sort of share the pet among household members as long as you're very, very careful about it.
That's right. I mean, pets are full-fledged members of the family, right? We all hopefully believe that. And so ultimately, these basic precautions and this limited duration of time by which we need to observe these very stringent precautions will ultimately ensure that we're all living long, healthy lives, enjoying our pets and the other members of our family.
So I'm just curious, because we know that the COVID-19 test for humans is often very uncomfortable. Is it the same test when you're testing an animal for this virus?
Yeah, so it really depends on the animal. Ultimately, it is a nasal swab. They can also do oral and rectal swabs, as they did in the canine examples of COVID-19. But when you think about, for example, the tiger at the Bronx Zoo, as you mentioned, there are now multiple animals that are showing symptoms of COVID-19 because it was a tiger. They ultimately had to put that tiger under general anesthesia, and that's precisely the reason why they're not testing the rest of the animals that are displaying those symptoms. They believe that they are a presumptive positive. But yes, in this case, it's a nasal swab that they're doing, and but you know, there's certainly a very uncomfortable procedure associated with that and risks, hence why they needed the general anesthesia.
All right, interesting story. Brian Larson of Restore a Pet, thank you so much for sharing your expertise on this with us.
Thank you so much.
Well, today the governor...
I hear this, love. This is that doctor.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the quarantine report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, the center of the pandemic.
This is that doctor. Do a screenshot and Photoshop and grab her face. You'll have to hear what she states. You understand? Hello? You'll have to hear what she states. Or be involved, please. It's really interesting what I get from it. I don't wish to taint, but it sounds like Catherine and her husband. She doesn't say what her husband does. It sounds like Catherine and her husband. Really interesting. Now, as you read with that doctor that published that stuff on the 21st, that Lee doctor, that New York has what strain and why it's hit so hard?
The European kind.
Now, because of such, the European kind, like what Russia Russia is only having the young kids get hit. And people are recovering. But she describes what's going on there because you had Justin Smith and that Samuel Bunch guy, as you read, and you see me when I started sharing their information and showing the truth. What did they do? You started seeing them attack different people, but it was the people from upper Mid-East down in New York, and the epicenter of this shit is where they have that plant and the stuff that they're pushing out. No. We gotta figure out what the hell is going on in Arizona with that plant, that massive plant that they state only one time to talk about in the Wuhan 1 Cup fucking video. And you can look on NASDAQ and see that shit. But it's where they state that plant is. They have a couple other plants. But for them to get something passed like that, as you read, they got people that's in the White House for the last couple of years.
Joined by my co-host Nermeen Sheikh, who is also in New York, but broadcasting from her home instead of where we most like to be, together in the studio, in order to stop community spread. Hi, Nermeen.
Good morning, Amy, and welcome to our listeners and viewers around the country and around the world.
Well, we are broadcasting from New York City, where the COVID-19 death toll has passed 15,000. The number of daily deaths has finally begun to decrease after more than a month of strict social distancing. But officials warn there is still a long road ahead for New York's recovery. Increased testing will be critical as New York City and other localities look to slowly reopen certain parts of society. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo met with President Trump in Washington on Tuesday to discuss federal aid for expanding testing capacity and said the president committed to helping New York State double both its COVID-19 and antibody tests to 40,000 a day. But Wednesday, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said he's against giving states more federal aid in future pandemic legislation, suggesting states should instead consider filing for bankruptcy. Governor Cuomo called the statement one of the saddest, really dumb comments of all time, unquote. This all comes as the governors in Georgia, Tennessee, and South Carolina are preparing to reopen parks, beaches, and non-essential businesses, despite the strong objections of public health officials. Last weekend, President Trump encouraged far-right anti-quarantine protesters, many of them openly brandishing assault rifles, tweeting they should liberate Michigan, Minnesota, and Virginia. But on Tuesday, Trump said he disagreed strongly with Georgia Republican Governor Brian Kemp's decision to reopen businesses.
So the blame is
spas and the beauty parlors and barber shops, tattoo parlors, I love them. But they can wait a little bit longer, just a little bit, not much, because safety has to predominate. We have to have that. So I told the governor very simply that I disagree with his decision, but he has to do what he thinks is right.
You ain't got no
Meanwhile, the head of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention has warned a second wave of the coronavirus could hit the U.S. in the winter, with even more devastating results. For more, we're joined by Dr. Syra Madad, an infectious disease specialist, special pathogens expert here in New York City. She was recently featured in the Netflix docuseries Pandemic, which premiered in January. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Dr. Madad. It's great to have you with us. Why don't we start off with what seems to be, to the shock of many, this controversial issue of testing? How is it possible in the United States that we are still at the point where just last week a 92-year-old woman, the mother of our co-host Juan Gonzalez, went to a top hospital in New Jersey, 92 years old, with COVID symptoms, and she was told she could not be tested, only when they finally agreed to admit.
On purpose, being open. In other countries, they're straight. Arresting people and charging people with murder and other things like that, guys. People are being arrested and shot and so forth. Stupid ass shit with my neighbors acting up, trying to get close to me and so forth, spraying me with a water hose and other shit like that. We're using their hands on it. Social distancing. I take this shit seriously. Anyhow. This is the doctor here. And he said we'll have to do a screenshot, Photoshop Amy out and grab her. But as you hear Amy talking about Juan Gonzalez, mother, 92, going through what happened with your dad in Florida, where it was, no, we ain't taking you. Nope. But no, we ain't gonna give you a test. But we gotta test you if you're gonna come in here. Huh? Now myself, unfortunate 92-year-old person, I love you, Mom, but let's use that on a 6-month-old child. That's only if the tests are actually accurate, because would you read like I read? And I've tried to share. Several countries have gotten over 1 million loads of the fucking tests, And the tests are infected themselves. If not, they don't work. The same shit happening here in the United States. That and also those who have gotten flu vaccines are showing positive because, again, the tests aren't being screened. There's no FDA doing anything to this stuff. There's no checks and balances, so they're just paying and selling and slinging. And who's making money off of what? Because many COVID people get COVID, or state you got COVID, or got a vaccine, or a fucking antibody, or some shit. Some more shit. As long as you put COVID-19 next to it, you're getting paid. And it's fucking sick. And they're showing that millions and millions of these tests are infected, or somehow infected, when they come off the assembly line. This shit's supposed to be done by robots. So how's the shit infected? Right, people? Think about it. The doctor kind of hints at that shit, but then she won't fully come out and say it. That's why I get irritated with it. But I'll let the woman speak. So on and so forth. But listen to this shit. It's really interesting what she states. And
did they say, well, then they had to do a COVID test to decide which wing to put her in? But that is one of many, many examples. The lack of access that governors, that people in general all over the country have to tests. Why is testing so important?
Well, we got them tigers tested, baby. And all the rich folks that live on the island off the coast of Florida got all tested. And then tried to fight with Florida to give Florida the ability to test their people because all of them got tests. Ain't that crazy?
It's a great question, and everyone's asking that. And why is testing so important? And I'm sure many people keep hearing about, ramping up testing. And the reason why testing is so important, not only, to know that you actually are infected with coronavirus disease, while, probably your clinical management won't change much, unless you're in the higher risk group and require additional, services. But it's also extremely important to know that you're positive, so that way we can isolate you, and so you don't start new chains of transmission. And unfortunately, here in the United States, we've almost hit a plateau when it comes to testing. We're not really increasing the number of testing being done yet, for a number of different reasons. One big one is because of the whole supply chain aspect, because there's not enough of the reagents and the swabs that are needed to actually conduct the testing. A lot of states actually have the infrastructure to do the testing, but really it's relying on the supplies itself that unfortunately is just not there yet. And so we really need to make sure we have widespread testing and a good infrastructure in place, so that way we can test anybody that needs it. So, if you're symptomatic, even if you're asymptomatic, we want to make sure that we have a test available to be able to see whether you have coronavirus disease, because the biggest thing is we want to make sure that you're able to isolate yourself so you don't start these new chains of transmission and infect additional people. This is a very highly transmissible virus that's proven to be quite lethal, if you will. So we need to really make sure that we have these systems in place in order for us to really open back up, if you will.
Dr. Madad, could you explain what the different kinds of tests are that are being carried out? Are they all the same across the board? What, for example, is the distinction, the difference between an antibody test and a test to determine whether you have COVID-19 right now? Are they the same? And you talked about the problem with supply chains. Where is...
So, beat that if you're understanding and my understanding, the information that you've been reading from doctors and so forth and hearing, what is the difference between those two tests you just asked this doctor?
Can you play it again? Because she's talking about, she's asking about what are the different tests.
That, could you explain what the different kinds of tests are that are being carried out? Are they all the same across the board? What, for example, is the distinction, the difference between an antibody test and a test to determine whether you have COVID-19 right now? Are they the same? And you talked about the problem with...
One is like we've been saying that anybody that had
Speak up, please.
the vaccine. One is like we are saying that anybody that had the vaccine for influenza or anything like that, they have generated the antigens for the virus, so they're going to test positive. Where it's different if they're just checking for a specific kind of coronavirus, but at the same time they might be just looking for one specific kind and not able to detect the other 13 kinds that are around, or mutations or variations of that one.
And that's about what?
That's about the second kind of test that she's talking about, when you're just scanning to see if they got the coronavirus but not the antibodies.
You read from the doctors and all the study? You would add to that or anything like that?
But what I just said, that even though they might be scanning for, it's just so broad, even though they might be scanning for the coronavirus, as they know it, it has so many times it had mutated already, that people that may be infected may not be infected with that one species or kind of variation of it. So it's just...
Okay, so what I'm trying to point at or whatnot, I hate badgering the witness. You read the stuff from Mrs. Lee, the whole shit in the argument the other day was what? People are coming up positive from having a flu shot.
Yeah, I already talked about that.
Why would that be?
Because in the moment that they got exposed to it...
Exposed to what?
To the vaccine, when they got vaccinated, they had generated the antibodies for
Antibodies
that.
For what?
For influenza or chickenpox or whatever it is that they got vaccinated with or for.
So the peptide test is...
Because there has to be something that is
too general?
Commonality.
Yeah, because it's influenza, it's an envelope virus.
So that's the common denominator, and then from there there's mutations and variations and evolution of that same virus.
Yeah, but it's still just the same chirality. But for some reason, someone having a test done is showing them positive when they have a negative.
Right, it's a sort of inactive.
And you got those that, again, as you've seen, that are 40, 50 days after that they've supposedly been cured or not had shit, test and they come up positive. So do they have it or do they don't have it? And they don't know the gestation of this stuff because, again, that information. So I'm asking you, go through your head and think and speak on it. Otherwise I hate, because I always have to. It's like, fuck, speak on it. Bring it to the forefront of that big ass head of yours. Because you didn't say none of that right now. And I'm asking because the lady's asking about, hey doctor, what's the difference between the two of those?
When you go back through your listening of the recording, you fucking see what I said, because you were not in the room when I was talking.
And you talked about this right here? You'll see? Or talk on it. Because who knows if the fucking video will go up, right? So speak.
I talked about the first variation of the testing that she's asking about. What's the difference between the antibodies and when they're scanning
Okay,
for
so how does
coronavirus?
that test work, honey? What's the mechanism for it?
They're taking people's blood. I don't know what they're doing in the laboratory to detect it. I'm not a fucking laboratory person or scientist that studies on a molecular level what the fuck.
It's not the molecular level that they're doing it. They explain why it is, why it's so hard to do the secondary test, because you actually have to have a trained person do it, because it's like doing DNA sequencing, which anybody can fucking do, because all you're doing is just taking, like what I'm doing right now, and sequencing shit out. And they're putting something with a different fucking chirality, with a different strength of something, and what? It's like, I keep explaining, it's very simple. It's like taking the ink, making a line with different fucking inks, and they put a piece of paper in the fucking water, and you see it go up and change. So that you coming up onto this shit that's going on, and during this going on, and there's another time me saying it to you, and with other people. It's the same as such. You can look it up. That's why that whole shit of doing DNA sequencing is not perfect, and shouldn't be used as it's stated in court, because it's not fucking factual. Because all you're doing is doing like a motherfucker with some fucking ink in 4th through fucking 6th grade in the motherfucking United States, where you take some ink, tin, place it on a piece of fucking white piece of paper, and they show you the color spectrum. Because that shit gets put in the water, what does it do? It's like the pH paper, honey. How's the pH paper? It's like the fucking piss test that you take for seeing if you're pregnant or not, honey. Well, if you look and see how that works, because it's very simple. It's like the 3-hour test and then the 10-minute test that they had in Thailand 2 weeks ago and so forth that broke down. I was just putting the two things together, but you still had a thing. That's why you always see people swirling a thing and putting it like this, and you see a little dropper thing where they go out and they extract the shit and they put it right here in the gel, and you see those slots, and you see them put it like this on an electrolyte, and what are they fucking doing? Sending electricity through that shit. So what does it do? Van der Waals effect. So what happens? What's the print for DNA? Stuff recombines and goes to what? Because it has minerals and context to it. So dipole-dipole interaction. That's why everyone's DNA print is fucking like their fingerprint onto themselves. Huh? No, you don't understand?
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying, but I'm breaking down what the people are having to state. That's why when I talk to people that actually this is their life's work, they go, how you know this shit? It's fucking simple. It's in my theory. It's not a theory that I'm showing factual. Again, that's how their shit works. It's called Van der Waals effect, because all they're doing is electrochemistry. But do they put heavy side to it? No. But whose shit and work just got accredited for it, for putting what? Metals and so forth into a solvent, which is water? Or all the different tests? It's very funny that all my motherfucking plasmas all do what for testing, and you never look into what that testing's for, but it's for DNA sequencing and other things that have to do with sugars and so forth. Those metals specific have to go to what? Well, your first motherfucking clearance for a person is to see what their sodium content is, it not?
Sodium chloride, the connection, but it's outside of the body.
It's not outside of the body, it's inside the body too. That's what we get. It's like this stupid fucking thing, calcium, it's your salt. Because salt's what? Like the salt lamp over there creating ions and sweating on itself, because what's coming from the environment? Positive. So this creates negative. Reverse the selenite and so forth. It's Kelia, baby. Shit's super fucking simple, man. I hate this shit. This reality is fucking so simple. So again, the test they're doing is to see if this is going to stick or be reactive on this side. So if you got hit with what, you got to look into what the fuck these people give as tidbits out there, as Cadbury Easter eggs of, well, like I told you when I got a fucking jail tin after doing the 10 days, and I cried when I looked into you and said you're going to die from some shit, and I said it's because of what? The fucking vaccine. And you said me, and I said, nope, you fall in a case of some shit, and this stuff starts popping off, and it comes back to me, and I state, yes. And you hear these people state the same thing. The vaccine, because you had to go for doing your fucking immigration shit. So what did you get? What did it just start in fucking Europe? Live culture. Vac. Of a supposed weakened virus in the people. To build an immune system. Or immunity, right? As I stated, this shit is a botched fucking vaccine program. Therefore, there's going to be no immune system immunity or vaccine that can be done. Did I not state that in the beginning of this shit? Yes or no?
That's what we're stating.
That's what I'm stating? Now I'm asking you, I did not say that to you?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
I said yes.
But you just stated that that's what I'm stating. I not have that conversation with you?
Yeah, that's what you've been saying.
So, with the vaccine, where you get either an offshoot, which you didn't get an offshoot because you didn't get the vaccine in Argentina, you got it here in America, you got a live culture, so you got the real deal. So everyone here where we got such a large ass explosion of this shit is why. A lot of people go to the drive-in and get the fucking same shot as you, but it's a live culture shot. Therefore, it's not that you've been exposed to fucking COVID. You have an immune receptor to it. Henceforth, after your shit, why I said to you, think about it, why I sent you the picture of your breast being enlarged the way it was when you were in Florida and said, don't forget this, because this happened after your vaccine. Your immune system and everything started getting fucked with in your diet. You really had to watch your diet and get to where you are now. Otherwise, your ass got sick. I explained that to you. You understand? There's a stupid fucking allopathic doctors that tell you, hey, the only thing that's fucking you up is what? Your husband's starving himself so he can feed you fucking what? Goddamn. What are they? Asparagus. #1 cause of fucking breast mouth. After it, cheese and milk. You cut the breast milk out of your daughter or your wife's breast, it turns it into fucking cancer, people, when it grows back. They don't tell your wives or your daughters this. They just fucking freak them out. Cause them to get breast cancer and shit by fucking putting their breasts in a stupid ass fucking machine and squeezing their breasts in a fucked up thing. You can call it whatever you want, it's not a mammogram. It's fucking retardedness. Where if you got the money, they'll take you. Fuck, we showed there at the goddamn place, ask them fucking for specific shit to be done. They say you got a credit card, you got insurance. We ain't got no insurance. Here's a card. And what'd they say, honey?
I didn't give them my card.
No, we said we got a card.
But I didn't tell them I had a card. I walked away. Because they didn't even have the equipment, the imaginary people inside.
They didn't even have the stuff that we asked them what they needed to have if we wish to provide them with cash or a card. Because what you're lacking in stating in detail is when we walked into the place, we asked them such. They asked you, do you got this? What does it matter if I have this or not? Can you answer the question, can you provide the procedure that my wife just fucking asked you? No, we can't provide that. Well, then why are you asking her for money? Why are you trying to see her down to have some shit done that we're not asking for that? Fuck, not we. You're not asking for that. You're asking for this specific procedure, and you guys state you can't facilitate it, but you're still trying to get her to be signed up and take her information and get money from her. You got me fucked up. Then the only two people, we got the largest cancer thing fucking here in Northern California. And somehow, the only two motherfuckers that can read the goddamn shit for her fucking scan are on vacation for the whole summer that year. And she doesn't understand this. And seeing, in our area, Marysville. So we gotta call and look around to another place in Roseville, which is fucking 7, 8, 9 towns over. And drive to that shit. Where these motherfucking clowns don't even know what the fuck they're doing. My wife goes in the back by herself, doesn't allow me to go back there with her. The people don't let me go. I'm sitting there looking at people. you know, it's just when this happened like 3-4 years ago. It's just when everybody started putting them stupid fucking yellow stud things in front of the crosswalk things. I swear to God, people. I come out this place, and this woman, she had to been about 84, 85. Oh my God. A couple people in the inner circle know the red that's on my green jacket is from that lady's skull. This woman, she had one of them recliner things, chair legs with the wheels on the bottom, where they got where the person can scoot it, but also sit down on it if they get tired. The lady's neighbor that was helping her was like maybe in her mid 60s, upper 50s, but straight alcoholic. Was not all the way there. Wouldn't say she was drunk. I would have said she needed 2 more beers to actually be functional, but she hadn't, because she was trying to be respectful for the lady, I guess. She put the rocker shit out there for her to use, but didn't have it properly. We'll just say that. The woman was using it. She went to sit in that damn shit, and this fucking thing hit them stupid yellow things, man. That woman, she fell over head first, split her shit open on them fucking things. I tried to catch her, I swear to God, I tried to catch her. I tried all my strength to catch the woman. I tried to. I caught her neck with her head whiplash, and she had smacked one of them yellow things. The yellow thing wasn't there, then her head wouldn't have caught the ground, but she just bullwhipped, smacked that, split a vein on top of her head, because it put about 1.5 inch gash on her skull. Like, I seen her. Just peeled her shit back to the white meat, to the skull. She's bleeding out blood on me. My wife sees, she's kind of in shock. The lady's like, what the hell? This woman defecated and everything. I'm sitting there holding this woman up for a good like 10 minutes, like squatting like I'm like a baseball catcher, holding her. And my wife kind of run about, and I asked her to go inside and get some help. She come back. The fucking person that she come out with, 2 nurses, these people, they come out. They see the thing, they go to help her, and then they see that she's, you know, she's leaking. Every time her heart beats, this shit's squirting out about 1 inch or so from her head and onto me. And they go, oh my God, we don't got any gloves. And they run back inside the fucking hospital, dude. Or this imaging place, where the fuck it was. Right? Now we're inside of this place that's supposed to be a hospital, right? This is what I didn't understand. So they run inside. They don't come back out. The person that helped my wife with her breast exam comes out with a cart type shit. And I explained to them what had happened. They get the woman. And it was sad because my wife explained to me that that was the person that helped her with her breast, and that's when we made the decision together that no, we ain't doing this shit, because if these fucking clowns out here looking like the fucking clowns off of Dumbo, the kid cartoon, popping out the clown car and shit, trying to help this woman, I feel bad for people now. First responders and all you people, man, I give you respect, but man, on this day, the imaging place in Roseville, Main Street, the fucking ambulance, yo. This is what hurt me out. We're at a medical place. The ambulance shows up. This was fucked up. Okay, this shit took 40 minutes, people, for the ambulance to get there. We stayed there, yo. I was raised by Marines. I ain't leaving. We followed the ambulance, okay? Let me get to the ambulance, following the ambulance part, because this was fucking crazy, because the Main Street, the road speed limit is 45. No one does 45. They're doing over it. And the fucking ambulance is doing 35. Anyhow. The dude that helped my wife and another nurse come out. They take the lady off my hands. We talking. I talk with my wife. She told me that's the dude that talked with her about the stuff and just said fucking cut the shit out of her breast. And I was like, no, you guys are fucking retarded. We're not doing this, honey. No. We'll figure something out. Lord's mercy. Allah's mercy. It's mercy. Butterfly and other things like that. Tests come back just fatty. We good. Reduce the shit From the size of a dick down to nothing. Fuck you motherfucker, what's you trying to do? Right? The fucking ambulance, yo, shows up and drives around in a circle. Me and my wife fucking follow the ambulance dude in the parking lot of this place. People with the fucking car.
And then they were going what? Below the speed limit.
Following this ambulance, trying to yell at them and honk at them and tell them that the fucking lady's in front of the other side of the building. Like, this place is like the size of fucking the Peachtree Mall in Oliver's. And these fools are driving on the other side of the shit. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? So, we watched the lady get loaded in, like my wife said. We pull out, we follow. No sirens, nothing, dude. That is cruising, doing 35 on a 45 mile per hour road. We followed him for several blocks. And I was just, I'm dumbfounded by that shit. Still to this day. And you got this shit going on. And this stuff for like this. And every other day for the COVID happened, you got these doctors and shit coming to my shop. And I talk with them. And I'm not trying to boast or say anything like that. But these motherfuckers go, what school did you go to? Man, you just broke down the shit like this. And I go, dude, you don't understand it like this? What the fuck? That's why you people hurting people. I had to study this shit my whole life because you keep fucking test bunnying my mother. And trying to do that shit to me. You got me fucked up. You used to give me pills when I was a kid. I ain't a kid no more. I started taking that shit back when I was a fucking teenager. I only took it because, like, a lot of little babies that my wife has seen where the child has an intimate talk with me and tells me, I only eat this candy and this fucking shit that makes my asshole hurt because mom tells me it's okay and gives it to me. And you see the child go from not having glasses to having glasses within a year or two of eating that motherfucking shit. Yes or no, honey?
Yes.
You watch a beautiful little kids, dude, get turned into fucking little monsters. And you know, you got this generation, these people, this motherfucker just told me he got a douche with this shit. And now he's a fucking alien. And some other shit. And some dude talking about somebody's wife fucking, he's coming into her dream and shit. Like claiming this, you read somebody's mind. As you can see on their profile page that his wife and him were from fucking Iran. They got blue eyes. I mean, come on. I mean, are you guys fucking... What the fuck was that lady's name? She was a motherfucking, that chick scammed motherfuckers for a long ass time too. And she got fucking fucked off. The dial-up shit. That psychic hotline lady. That black lady that used to do the psychic hotline. Now, again, the nucleotide test, because the outside thing, the vaccine, giving you that antigen, like I'd stated, is why those peptide tests and so forth, because they're doing nucleotide testings. And again, they have to separate the stuff out and see, and it's a little bit more advanced for someone that's fucking, supposedly fucking doesn't have the brains for it, but is literally, it's just watching the ink line fucking change, dude, and send electricity through the shit, and then process with some fucking gel, and the shit separates out, and you got a little line there, like, you're doing your little fucking pregnancy piss test, to where you got your mean, which is your fucking, your absolute, and your fucking above and below, and your fucking secondary to see, and your fucking trip marker to show, and your fucking thing to say you have a definitive. If not, the person's not sick. Or it's just a fucking gel, and then send electricity through it, and the fucking DNA sequencing just fucking recombinates through it, and structures itself. You know what I'm saying? You throw Jamie's equation into it that she's accredited for the mechanism on such, and fucking if people would use that, then they'd be able to tell the difference between someone that's actually had COVID, not had COVID, or someone who has an immune system, because again, they're talking about antibodies to this stuff. So if you've gotten a flu shot, that's still showing people have supposed fucking positive test errors for this stuff. How do you actually test for COVID, honey? Do you understand? And like the New York mayor on one of the things came out and stated they came out and tested 3,000 sample across New York and seen that there's already fucking a good portion of New York that's already been exposed to this shit, more than what they even fucking considered, that have antibodies for this stuff. Now again, is that because of the test they're doing is giving them a false positive because of flu, or what the fuck is going on? That's why I've been saying for like a month now, honey, if you could, if you ever get time, we need to scan these people that supposedly are rich, that are getting cured. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because everybody else that they're showing that have supposedly been cured or have recovered, up to 50 days afterwards, supposed recovery, they are testing positive. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. 4 times in one case. What one dude had him fucking baffled. We're like, huh? And his fecal matter was infectious. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Well, I'd been trying this on the line, get a fire underneath your ass, because as people get pets and other things like that, like I was stating on the video that was blacked out by you still, is if human fecal matter is infectious and is also aerial, if people are walking their dogs, as you heard, the dogs are asymptomatic, cats are asymptomatic, therefore it can spread. But if you're having to do the cat box, so on and so forth, and off-gassing and so forth, you are breathing in the spores of such. Why the stuff is gastric and works on that level, to not think that the fucking spores wouldn't be passed from fecal matter is retarded as fuck. I've been stating that since the beginning of this shit. And showing videos from Asian news showing that apartment complexes were being shut down. Why? Because they didn't know if it was coming from the toilets, water system being connected, or from the ventilation shaft, which I'm trying to figure out. But I don't live in Asia, so who knows? Their vent system can be set up to where if you fart, I smell it, and vice versa, 100 floors separate. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But gastric diseases and viruses and pathogens make you fart on purpose or use that type of sporal, fungal type of fucking thing, like fucking mushroom. You understand? I always tell people don't be farting and shit next to me, or you hear me before they close our shop, me asking people that I suspected months back I had in this stuff and stating what fucking Keshe is fucking saying now. What, honey? I smell this on someone, like I said with the probation officer's daughter. When I asked the little girl, and I asked the mom, do you mind if I ask your kid this in this manner? She was like, huh? Mm-hmm. Hey, your shit stink. Was your moon fucking off and it smelled like this? Because if it was, because you're lacking in this mineral and this and this. The black bags underneath that little girl's eyes look like Sarah's. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And when was that, baby? When you went to Florida, Mama? Remember?
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that somebody had come into the shop.
It was a probation officer you talked with.
But prior to that, there was a black dude that walked in and you said that he never came back.
Mm-hmm. Noticed it in an older adult and then that girl. And I noticed it in the mom. And you know who I'm talking about, the sister whose husband had cheated on her, but she stayed with them and they're working stuff out.
Oh, she doesn't work on probation.
What does she do?
She's not competent. Her husband is a private investigator for the police department.
Huh. What did I think of probation? She's wearing a probation jacket or some shit when she came in before. With the interesting eyes, contacts, or whatever she wears.
The booty sister.
Yeah.
Hair, shape. Oh, I know.
Oh, that's what it was. I know why her mind is allocated with that file. It was from when I was still on probation and fighting my case. Katrina came in and explained to us that the probation officer's child had died. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Because they're friends.
And the probation officer's child
Man,
in
this
time.
is giving me goosebumps. It's like hot as fuck outside, and I got goosebumps all over my body.
Because it's scalarized weather. Sarah, play it, and I'll shut up for you to hear. If you'll be able to hear it in the back of the house. Trying to talk with this woman is insane, dude.
Where is the material being produced for these tests? And is there any likelihood that their production could be expedited now and continue to be till they're needed?
So in terms of testing, there is an antigen test that looks for acute infection, meaning if you're actually infected with coronavirus disease, it actually looks for the virus itself through a molecular assay. And then the other test is the antibody test, or the serology test, that actually looks to see if you had the infection previously and have developed an immune response. It's actually looking at your, the antibodies in your blood. There is two very distinct means. One could be used for diagnostic purposes, if you will, the antigen test. The antibody test is something that is relatively new, and I would highly caution anybody using the serology test right now to make any type of decision. And the reason why I say that is because the assays that are being used for serology tests, so the serology test itself, the blood that is drawn and tested, is very hard to interpret the information. First, the testing itself, you're getting a lot of false positives, false negatives. It doesn't seem to be...
So why are you getting those false positives, false negatives like you read? Are you hearing or listening? What did she say? And what? Can you give some input into that?
She said that they're getting false positives and negatives because what she said is information is hard to interpret from the blood sample, but it's because what we were talking about. So she's saying that take it with precaution, the information that you're getting with it, and not make any life decisions, because it's not for certain known that the person has an active coronavirus in their body, attacking its body, but what we were saying, the antigens or the body antibodies that have been created from the vaccine years ago. It could have been years ago.
Because interferon and chemokines can be floating around in the body and picked up as you were reading by bacterial phages, used as informational grids across the bacterial and virus load, and turn something on and something where it just keeps triggering. What triggers that? Like the cysts that grow in that brother's arm and my mom's arms that she gets cut out. That started from her very first cytokine storm, but has not ever gone away. I was trying to talk with my mother the other day, and she stated, what? Hypocalcemia is a fucking sign,
which is recalcification in the body,
that you got what? Sarcoidosis, Maria. That's what allopathic medicine states. And then they do a fucking genome sequence test. ATEPs. Let's see about your viral load. So that was very interesting. The original test they did, testing and so forth, like doing now, how they got a false positive for HIV on my mother. And tried to tell her fucking that she got it from a blood transfusion.
because in the moment what they tested for, what they were the indicators she had it, but like she had
Or from dipole. The stuff, tests that they do work off dipole. You understand? Magnetic. Henceforth, while you were stating yourself from reading Keshe stuff, he told them they had to keep the samples away from each other, otherwise you'll get a positive or a negative, and it won't be truth.
It's
or
influenced by its environment.
Or you can put this next to it and you'll make it look like it's vaccinated and it's infected. You understand? It's been my life study. Studying self-adapted viruses, which, because again, this dude's talking about months back, and I shared with you the fucking shit that they were showing people have calcium build up. What's on the USB sitting in the Apple, still waiting for you to fucking try to take a bite out of it and get some truth. Or I showed in several videos showing you. Here's a pamphlet.
Like hydroxyapatite.
And what is your family specialized in before fucking stupid ass vaccines were started 120 years ago? Hydroxyapatite crystals in the feet. They got a dude that just motherfucking got his leg cut the fuck off. Why? Because of blood clots caused by this shit. Why would he have to have his leg or his foot cut off? Because he got what your TO specialized in.
That's what they're saying. The reason why people are turning black is because
they're macro blood clots.
Blood clots.
But this stupid fuck tells them it's the calcium and you're turning black. No, stupid. It's because your C20, what is what? Your carbon-20 shell, which encapsulates your Fe3. When you need Fe2, it releases it. Otherwise, you gotta fucking bring it in from outside, but not taking no iron supplemental pills, because that shit fucking removes the shit from you. It's dumb motherfuckers. You gotta like fuck with rust pots or other things as such that bring in natural oxidative negative state into the body. So as a positive acquisition. Now again, these people told my mother when I was 12, so 18, so she was 28, 29, when they misdiagnosed her with AIDS.
She's young. Younger than me.
Maria, I was 26 when I diagnosed him with stage 4 sarcoma, dude. Actually, no, sorry for a long. It was 2008. I started noticing in 2006 because I got the fucking tetanus shot when I went to prison. I had that adverse reaction. I noticed when I got out of prison, when I tried riding a bike and shit, I married gas in Yuba City from Marysville over the bridge. That this person that got a presidential award for running a 350 mile. Oh, that shit was not there, bud. This person that did choir and zikr and singing, and as you hear when I changed from shallow breathing to actually using my tone, but I'm not even pushing out, but talk properly, breathe properly, and project out. They said, no, bud. How long have you been smoking cigarettes? I'm like, you got like some really bad COPD looking shit going on in there. We gotta send you over here to get some x-rays done. And the picture I showed you the other day, where was showing what people with COVID look like, their lungs. My mom had shared that, and she said, hey, this is what my lungs look like. And I said, hey, that's what my lungs used to look like. Just remember, you used to scan, and what did you find? Like what my mom had. Fucking holes. She got the blurps, or whatever the fuck the stupid doctors call this shit. But she got a different variant. Sarcomas, which I got, what you don't scan in my mother. Mine went differently, where it's like the endometriosis or the spider webbing. Where again, that spider webbing that happens, it causes It don't feel good. I'll just say that. That's why I said and been stating, these people going through what took a whole lifetime to fuck off somebody's body, they're getting within a couple minutes or a week or less. Now some are getting it in that manner and some aren't, but like this doctor's gonna state what is the long-term effects of this shit. Like with myself, I still have problems from the copperhead venom, so I never took the anti-venom. You understand? And henceforth studying how that's worked on me, to understand the other opposite chirality of why, and understanding what is going on with this bullshit that this idiot's telling people that are reverting back to fucking the Africa thing. When it's FE3 being released in a manner that is non-conducive to the body to be able to metastasize, so it's clotting because they're losing the dielectric effect of the hemes. Because this is a hemoglobin B12 B positive membrane fucking virus that uses electrostatic electron transport to suck energy from the body. That's why, see, anybody that's been affected with it, they're eating like crazy. Why pork consumption went up 1,500%, and why Thailand and other places like that currency is still staying afloat, because they're supplying them with the pork that America's not able to right now. So it's interesting about the pork workers at the big ass processing place of the world here in America, they all infected. Same with poultry and beef. But yeah, that nucleoid test, again, what's really going on, who really has AIDS, who really has such, because again, if they misdiagnosed my mother with that stuff, and we're giving her Proact's viral AIDS inhibitors, Maria, at first, okay, shit was crazy, and then to have a nurse realize that, no, it's not that, you got sarcoidosis, which is like, okay, what's better to have, sarcoidosis or fucking AIDS, right? Because AIDS, if I'm Magic Johnson, I got a cure, right? If I'm rich. Like you see me argue with,
in my shallow understanding
if
of
you
both
like you see me
imbalances,
argue, like you see me argue, just wait 1 second, keep that in your mind. Like you see me argue with the 6 people that have come into our shop since we've moved, that you hear me break them down and ask them what their background is, and seeing that they're from one of the 5 genomes that is really being affected by this COVID really bad, because of what? Our inability to metastasize and active vitamin D, which gives us the predominant predisposition for sarcoidosis. Do you understand? To have those people come in and have it be pushed on them because of, not pushed on them, but be pushed on them in the viral load sense of their immune system being compromised due to fucking allopathic procedures. It's like the guy that went in, the last person, that gentleman that joined in the group and so on and so forth. Really nice gentleman with a beard and so forth. I figured his name, started for a long. But he had the lymph nodes smooth. He had the lymphatic cancer smooth from his lymph system down here. And the kind of big gentleman with the red hair and so forth. He'd had those removed and ended up contracting sarcoidosis. And me telling him, nobody, it's better to have the cancer which you had, not the sarcoidosis, because now that you have this, it's never going to go away. They're just going to keep giving you prednisones and other things that are going to make your immune suppressed, and now you're septic, and anything that you catch or get is going to make you fucking spiral. And they always go, no, man, you just don't know. And I'm like, no, dude, you just don't understand. The first disease they lied to you, made you nocebo yourself to, was not it. You already had sarcoidosis. They just now just made it to where it's affluent up front. Because all those people you hear me talk to and state what? You have the same gene sequence as myself. You have the same thing. I'm seeing this in you. There's this and this. Do you have a family member as such? So on and so forth. That's why it was so detrimental trying to see that video of my great-grandparents. Because if more and more people are catching sarcoid, and like that young girl that's a client of one of your clients' nieces that had that fucking procedure done, and now she has to have insulin for the rest of her life, so she's gained hella weight. It's like, it don't make no sense what they're doing to people. You were stating with the test?
No, with the test, I was saying that in my understanding of the difference between AIDS and sarcoidosis, it just seems like a lot of more complications stem from having sarcoidosis. A lot of more complications come from that than having AIDS, which is an autoimmune deficiency, which you can boost your immune system in so many different ways. I mean, having a weak immune system you're more propense for complications because of second other things affecting you, but it doesn't seem like AIDS itself is a degenerative disease. Sarcoidosis seems to be. Does it make sense?
Be it that they don't know what it is, and it keeps morphing as it goes from the spine to neurosarcoidosis.
It's just so more proactive, that disease on itself, on its own.
That it comes up as what they have listed as sarcoidosis is of the staph and meningitis family. The way that it does. You understand? That's why you kept getting it as such. Me arguing with my mother and her getting this new doctor, and her finally having that window of opportunity in between her fucking touchless torture operator fucking with her, and her saying that to me, that I have in that recording on USB that I'll share, that I wanted to wait till after she lived past her supposed expiration date that I'd seen, because she had contracted this shit. It was supposed to pass on the 12th of February. Her opening up and telling me that stuff that I said to her, and her saying, well, this new doctor that I have stated they actually don't know what the fuck it is. That they think it's, what did she state and send me a link to? No, that the neurosarcoidosis in the link stated that it was meningitis family. Because the frontal lobe damage, from the way that it infects and does as such the spinal fluid, it is listed as, or as stated in the fucking scientific research paper, we don't know what this stuff is. It's either staph or meningitis. What did you keep finding? And the frontal lobe damage and all that. All the granulomas and other things like that are so similar to what happens with meningitis, that a lot of people with meningitis and all the shit going on with polio and other shit is actually fucking sarcoid, and vice versa. You can list one as the other. It's the same shit, technical shit happens to a person. Same with staph and strep. Is he seen with the frontal lobe damage that was confirmed from your scanning to the MRI my mom had a week later? Why I made her pin it and so forth, the way that I did, and her being able to reconnect. That's why I was saying, if you're really into this, you got someone that you scan that shows frontal lobe damage and that nerve crocopy, death, and inability of using those areas, going and seeing this person in person and seeing the person fucking be the way that they are with that affliction. Seeing what a balance does from you, seeing what plasma does for me, and seeing what person's inner work does combined, and seeing that change. And
But
then
it would be
and
nice
then
to
having
see
somebody,
also the person without
and then
all the
having
influence
somebody,
of pharmaceuticals.
and then somebody be able to reconnect with people and do their gift that they had not been able to do for a while because of what part of their brain had been damaged by this shit. And me go, hey, you want to know how telekinesis, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and all that kind of stuff does? Why don't you look at my patient zero, because what do I do every day without a feather? But again, my scans are different, but you have someone that explains to you and just talk with you about things kind of like I do, but on a different manner than her perception of such. And it doesn't intrigue you that that conversation went away as the damage to that part of the brain came up, and the anger and other things come up, like someone having head trauma, and her keeps stating and trying to state and noceboing herself, because remember, they tried to tell her the year we met that she had a stroke. That's what made me look back and go back into that point in my drawing and started seeing and understood that when my mom had that recollection when she broke her pinky toe, had to come pick me up when they beat the fuck out of me and took my prototypes and shit. I had amnesia. That's when they first whacked my mom. You understand? That was a key point for me in reference, where I went back and started looking at all what was going on at that time. You understand? And then trying to have those type of conversations with you. Hey, whatever it is where you're going on with fucking my mom's flesh, as a fucking person that's doing the work that you're doing with me, can you look at it in this manner and see what's been going on in the last 7 years? Look at it in this manner and understand. Look at your findings, look at your scans, and see. See, on this and such, there's something going on here. Blah, 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 nothing. You understand? Again, it's like trying to explain this to my aunt and saying what I said to her. What did she get all scared and said, oh my God, I'm going to do this way, but no, Aunt Kathy, you have sarcoidosis. You just affirmed to me my findings while I was saying it was so detrimental that I need to do what? See what you have of our family lineage directly to the Azores. Because you and my mom got different dads. Therefore, for you to have the same fucking reading as my mother and what I used to have, and the fucking down to Mason, the grandbaby of me, which is your great nephew, for that to be, it has to be from the Azores. And the eye rolling that I've seen from you, like your sister does to me, where you got tired of hearing it in the shop going, there's only 5 places in the world that get this shit. And I would always say to you, honey, drill this into your head, because it's going to mean something someday. Make it where it says, like, me. Because for you to be here like you thought you were going to do, I tell you, it's not going to go that way. You're going to have to do like you're doing now, which means you got to get our shots and shit. And because of your predisposition and background, and actually being Caucasian, European Caucasian like my background is, from my Azores, you got what I got. And it's 4th why it's in your breasts, in your mom's titties. You understand? The same problem that you had with the stuff that you had to cut out at 15. She didn't get the lumps as bad, but you guys have the same. They don't sense it in your father. His stuff is different.
Would you share with me the screenshot of the...
Lady, yes.
Please?
What dad is different. And 4th where you get your Scorpio afflictions if you follow dad. where I would get my issues if I followed my mother. So, you know, our root chakra. That's what always scared me in my studying and trying to figure out why Scorpio was always, in every book I always read, in the old books and so forth, they don't talk about the shit in the new stuff, but in old ass books, they always talk about Scorpios fucking getting genital diseases. I always was puzzled by that.
Hormone problems.
I was like, why would that be? But then you look at the detriment and the characterization or the character that we're supposed to be. If you have those minerals out, then you're gonna be a vicious fuck. But be all super sexual. Sacral's gonna be out. Solar plex and root chakra's gonna be out. Right? Because we're supposed to be so intellectual, right? So there's a whole lot of fucking lithium and so forth being up. It's all crown chakra up here. And if you've been abused, and you're a fucking Scorpio, what do, honey? You cheat. You cheat on yourself. You cheat on yourself, cheat on yourself. Cheat on yourself, cheat on yourself. Shit. If you don't work on it. You understand? Look at our daughter. My dad tried to have the conversations with our daughter. We got a house with 3 Scorpios. One who fucking wouldn't come out until several years later of her daughter moving away and coming out and stating why she did what she did because of what she's seen at home. Wow, did me and stepdaughter's mom fucking separate? And then what did stepdaughter do to the man she was gonna marry and now the man that she has a child with? You understand? Dad state, work on this. Because you're a Scorpio. Not saying that planetary shit and all that kind of thing does, because that's Western. We're actually Virgos. But it's all in the mineral content. And if you look at the times of the year that a person will be born, those dates or those times, those sequences, and you look at Ayurvedic eating and so forth, think of the holoblastic cleavage that would allocate the minerals that would make a person's persona be of such that refractory. You understand? Did you understand what I just said there?
Yeah.
Any feedback? No? Alright. I'll shut up.
I don't know, there is that sort of precondition of the planetary alignment, but it's all about the psyche. It's all about the mind. It's all about the psyche on how the physicality presents on the obstruction or imbalances or desynchronization manifests. And it's just once that potentialization has been created, it's really, really hard to get off that cycle because it just keeps snowballing and snowballing and snowballing, and it's more recurrent and more recurrent because that's just turns to be your modus operandum, regardless of you agreeing on it or not. But it's sort of like victim but not victim because you've been part of it, but now I don't know, it's hard for people to get out of that mentality or the way that they're going about things. know, but your mom ain't a Scorpio.
No, she's a Pisces.
And she must have seen really fucked up shit at home for her to, so young, be all about sexual energy. And, I mean, the area too, and the drugs, but, and then, 60 years later, not a lot of it had changed.
You're next to a military base.
No, she ain't living next to a military base now.
You don't know what's up in Reading, do you? Then no Shasta area.
No. And you got somebody that when they get the, the 3 questions to ask to the genie is like, she's asking all about from the root chakra. When I sat with her, and it was all about, am I moving where Lionel is, and all about Lionel, and as her happiness is subject to somebody else. But there's like that, it's a mix of sexual and also like a lack of owning shit, like a lack of owning up to shit, because in that victim mentality is like, if you were to tell her, yeah, move over here, then you become the main factor. If anything happens to go wrong, it's your fault because you told her to move here. It's always like pointing fingers at and not really accepting your role. And that was one of the flower essences that was suggested for her, to actually own her own shit.
Yeah, the thing that her son's been saying for years, that you see me.
Own your own motherfucking shit. Stop blaming out people, stuff. For the first 4 years, it had always been like that time we moved her, and she's like, the fucking people that moved me. And I was like, do you not fucking remember that we moved you? So how did we stole shit from you when
Again,
it's
but
4 years later still parked in my driveway?
But again, honey, you carry something on the flesh. You yourself just stated a couple of minutes ago it would be nice to do a scan before I kind of interrupted you. I'm doing a scan of someone not needing farmings, right?
I said no. I said it would be nice to know your mom without the influence of the pharmaceuticals.
It would be nice for me. I have not ever seen my mother not on pharmaceuticals except for when I was 4 or 5. So we come out here, said her mental health got a hold of her, and then the allopathic doctors did. So myself, I know when her mind or her. As you seen the conversation the other day, my mom sent me things saying Happy Ramadan. But as you seen the conversation the other day, went the way that it went, but yet recorded and talked, and again, as I'm telling her, you're acting the manner that you are because I see you just fucking put your hands in your head and was like, oh my god, did you realize what I was talking about with Keshe stuff? I've been watching stuff and they're like tripped out by it, but now I'm seeing you rocking and other things, you're stressed out, and you've seen us argue because I said, Mom, if you need some chocolate, like, go get some or something, or I'll do a balance and send you some lithium. But it seems like your stuff is off because you're starting to go in a thing. And like, in that instance, your sister, everybody, yourself, somehow in your mind running water and shit. Are you done? For some reason, her mind misconstrued it, like your sister and yourself, and everybody does. some make-believe story that I made up. That I told her that she's eating chocolate right now.
I know, I was there.
Okay.
I was there. When you said if you need some lithium, and she thought that you were attacking her, saying that she had chocolate in the house and that's what she's been eating. And you're actually saying you may need some lithium.
You're going
And chocolate is the source of it. Don't think I'm attacking you. When she kept saying, you're not asking me if I'm eating chocolate, or you're assuming that I'm eating chocolate.
Like, I don't ask my parents for money. When I said I didn't have to say that, we're in an argument for 5 minutes on some stupid shit. So I said, I don't know how people make up these crazy outlandish stories.
It might be, my mom said that deep inside probably it's what they know that they need to work on. Or it's something that is been waiting on them, so they feel the culpability. That's what my mom said.
I'm like, man, it's really crazy because this make-believe story fucking argument happens because somebody makes up some shit that I didn't say, and I have to keep illustrating I didn't say that. Bring the subject matter back into context and try to figure out why this person's fucking tripped the fuck out. Go into some matter and trying to go all negative and shit and revert back, and is it them or is it the fucking mind control, or is it make believe in my mind this person's mind's being controlled and this person's just being a fucking child?
No, it's not being controlled. It's like I said, there's subtle something of the acknowledgement of the person itself, and it feels attacked because an outsider is bringing that in the forefront. We're so hard we work to stop that shit that we know. You know, she might have not been eating chocolate this whole time, but she might, you know, it might be her cheating of option, you know, candy or whatnot. And when you know, like somebody's bringing those dirty...
But I hadn't just stated the chocolate, I just asked, do you need some chocolate? Are you out of what Maria sent to you? Or the lithium, lift me up. Are you out of that stuff, Mom? It seems like when you're starting to do this, and fucking frill your hair and doing what you're doing, you're starting to do some shit that I noticed those are the signs that you're about to fucking flip the script on me. And here we go. Now we're arguing about when Pharmacopoeia got a hold of you. You arguing with me when I'm stating it was just before Michaela was born. Not a couple years before Michaela was born, but just a couple months before she was born, which was the year 1997, and you're yelling at me, it happened in 97. Yeah, Mom, it happened in 97, that's what I'm stating. And then when you come back from wherever the fuck you go to, and you come forward and you see my energetics, and I go, man, I'm fucking tired of this shit. And you go, oh, you're tired of this? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, I don't know where they just sent you to, because you're having fun. But I just went through what I go through with my mother and Ben, and she's on fucking pharmacopoeia shit, and affected by some stuff that I've been studying for years, that the self-adaptive virus is able to go into the fucking brain and shit and fuck with people. Like this fucking COVID. Like I said to you when I was drunk, bitch, I'm drunk, what's your excuse? And you try to get that stuff off me. So like I'm saying now, like I'm trying to talk to you as a person with a person, and not put flesh out there to where you bring your energetics down or bring emotion, because thought, feeling, and emotion. Don't put any thought to this, just be like in the mind, like I'm not thinking about this, just let it flow out in the sense of looking over that as a dowser. And like these people talking about this test, and like what all this is about, van der Waal and dipole interaction, how those Skyrim neutrality points able to connect on a person and cause a dielectric induction, and interfere with the signal that's from within, which is actually from out, since we turn inside out. You understand? And it's the whole issue with the manner that these idiots are going with, trying to fucking these vaccines and other things, which are killing the outside instead of doing the inner work, because they have to communicate and talk with the what? Bacteriophages that are inside the COVID. Every time they fuck with this, they just make it adapt with prophages that make it different. So the prophages that are in the COVID in the asymptomatic person are what it enabled it to be able to go to the tiger, and from the tiger to the lions. You understand? But somehow they're stating putridness evolved in a wet market, this virus going where you have close proximity of not of animals just breathing on each other, but you have the death, the stench, the miasma, the off-gassing, the chiralities that happen between those atmospheres, because how does molten spores and so forth and things transmit, but also with light, how you have a strawberry planted in an onion field and it's tasting like onions through cross photo biogenetics and biochemistry and photocatalysis. Right. The light coming from that little girl is really interesting. That had the bags underneath their eyes looking like syrup. It did. And that shit had first got her. Yeah, I talk too much.
So you got the doctor explaining about the...
Yes, baby, I'm playing it right now for you because I know you're bored. Get done with this and get back to Eddie's thing. Put my headphones on the video.
Depending on the type of test you're using, you know, a lot of these are not validated and not going through a quality control measure. We can't see, you know, if they're providing true results. And the other big issue when it comes to serology is, and I think it's very important for people to state, we just don't know a whole lot about this virus. There's still a lot of the signs that we do not know. We don't know about the pathophysiology of coronavirus disease. And so even if, for example, you may have a positive antibody test, what does that mean? Does it mean that you are actually immune to coronavirus disease? You can't get reinfected? We don't know that. We don't know how much, I know, the titer level that you need that will actually confer immunity. We actually don't know that. There needs to be a lot more data on that. And on top of that, we also, you know, don't know the risk, as I mentioned, of reinfection. And so these are things that I think we need to be very public about. This is the science that we don't know. That we hope to know in the future. It's not there yet. This is a puzzle that is missing a number of pieces. And so while we want to rely on seroprevalence and conducting serosurveys and seeing how many people are, you know, actually immune, we really need to take that with a grain of salt because, again, we don't know a lot.
So, Dr. Syra Madad, I wanted to ask you about this possibility of how you open the country, what President Trump is pushing so hard for, has been saying that these gun-toting activists around the country who are demanding their states open are liberating their states. What a rational plan would be. I want to ask what you think of the Rockefeller Foundation plan that's just been out there. Paul Romer, the Nobel Prize-winning economist, has recently said some very interesting things. I mean, they're calling for 30 million tests a day in the United States, so that people a day in the United States. He's calling.
Think about it, people. If you can make that many beer cans and stupid shit that's poison, why can't you make that many fucking Q-tips? It's just fucking Q-tip swab.
All of it should be going to that. Do incentive for fabrication, and you know, if you're really about it.
If you're really about it. If you're really about it.
For a day. The report, I think, is calling for 30 million tests a week. He said it should be a day. I think he compared it to that the U.S. makes something like 350 million cans of soda a day. Why can't we do 30 million a day? The report itself, though, calling for 30 million a week. We are so far from any of that. I think that would clearly go to the issue of the Defense Production Act. President Trump demanding that companies start to convert to making these tests. Trump has been extremely resistant to this idea of mass testing. But how else do you open the country without having to shut it down right away because there's another mass outbreak? Because workers come together who are both positive and those that weren't exposed.
You're absolutely right. And I think the best way to really show the American public, you know, what situation we're in is look at where we're at right now, right? One of the reasons why we're seeing a decrease in the number of cases, depending on where you are here, at least in the state of New York, is because of our collective actions, doing what we call social distancing, physically distancing ourselves. And the reason why we're doing that is because we want to obviously make sure that, you know, we're not going out, we're not coming in contact with the virus, right? So the end game is, the whole goal is making sure we don't come in contact with the virus. Because if you come in contact with the virus, then obviously you can get infected. And right now, no one has really immunity to this virus because it's brand new, unless obviously you've already, you know, you're already going through active infection right now. And so the virus is still out there. And one of the reasons why we've been able to decrease the number of cases is because of social distancing. If you take...
Shown tests from our country and other countries that have been doing, I guess you would call group herd immunity tests, to see sample testing across to see people that have immunity to I guess the viral strain that they tested against at that time. Several countries have 2 to 5 to 10% immunity already, infected and non-infected. This is interesting.
That away, that very effective public health measure, then we're going to be in the same position that we were back in January, back in February, back in March, because nothing has changed between now and then. We still don't have enough testing, and we still don't have, a testing, a treatment option yet. A number of clinical trials still in the pipeline. People are actually getting very confused, I think, in terms of when we're talking about all these different medications. I think some people, when I've been talking to them, they think these are cures. These are not cures. There is no cure for coronavirus disease. There are a number of different treatments that are, in clinical stages. How effective and safe they are, that's still something that's being explored. And so nothing has changed. And if we are to reopen the economy, being in the same position that we're going to put ourselves in, we're obviously going to see a resurgence of cases. And as we've seen with history, right, a lot of people have been comparing this to the 1918 Spanish flu. The second wave was much higher and much more severe than the first one. And so if we're going to let history repeat itself, I think we just need to make sure that we're prepared for it. And unfortunately, we are not. And I think the other thing we need to also think about is how do we define risk and how do we define the word safe? Because that's, living with COVID-19 is going to be our new normal. So we need to make sure what amount of risk are we able to take, if at all, and what does that word safe actually mean? We're not going to really be safe as long as that virus is out there and lingering. We're not going to be safe. So we need to continue to do various public health measures to protect everybody.
And Dr. Madad, that's a very good point that you make about how essential social distancing is, given where we are now with both testing and clinical trials for drugs. Could you give us some sense, because obviously the costs of social distancing and the impossibility of social distancing in a large part of the world, the developing world in particular, and in among poorer communities everywhere, where it's simply not possible to be socially distant from others. How far are we along in clinical trials, and are there any alternatives at all to social distancing at the moment or in the foreseeable future, the near future?
So any of these, potential treatments that are being studied, they're not going to be a silver bullet. And what I mean by that is they're not going to be 100%. We still are waiting on the data for a number of these different pharmaceutical interventions to come out. You're seeing some come out right now. For example, hydroxychloroquine. You're seeing whether it's safe and effective, and in fact, the data is showing otherwise, that it actually is not effective. And then you're seeing other studies come out with remdesivir that is showing that is looking promising. But again, when you're doing these clinical trials, you really need to go through the proper channels and making sure that you're studying these individuals for a longer period of time. And that's obviously not happening right now. These are very quick, short studies. And so I think in the coming weeks to months, we'll probably get some more information in terms of the various clinical trials that are out there around the world, not just here in the United States. And so,
and Dr. Madad, do you want to weigh in on this huge controversy that's happening with Dr. Bright right now? I mean, President Trump, the Trump administration fires the person in charge of vaccines in the government, who has been fighting hard to coordinate all these kind of tests you're talking about, clearly opposed to, prescribing hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine without the proper studies, and now being taken out as he resists the President Trump's drug of choice, which hasn't even been adequately tested.
And the tests show that it
this is something I've been saying from the get-go. We really need to let science speak, and we really need to look at the facts. We need to follow the facts. There is obviously a lot that we don't know, and we need to be very clear about that. And we need to make sure people understand when we don't know something, we're providing that information. When we do know something, we can provide that information. And doing these types of and then having these types of actions and reactions is very unfortunate, because it's showing the credibility of the administration in and of itself. And this is a very pressing time, and a lot of lives are on the line, and we really need to make sure that we're following the facts. And so we want to make sure that we are having experts be able to be at the table and drive these conversations.
Dr. Madad, if you could talk about your own personal experience, did you test positive for COVID-19?
I did. I did test positive for COVID-19. Certainly, I think anyone getting that type of test result, it is scary, especially knowing, if you have loved ones at home, those are even in the high risk category, which for me, I do. It was something that, when I got the test result, wasn't surprising, really, unfortunately, given the circumstances and being out there. But I was able to quickly isolate myself, and luckily everybody in my household was able to recover. One of the symptoms that I had was the loss of taste and smell, and I actually had that for quite a few weeks, and just as of recently, I was able to get my full taste and smell back and be able to, enjoy, for example, my cup of coffee. But, with the coronavirus disease, the spectrum of illness is so wide and variable. You have people that are asymptomatic, you have those that have mild signs and symptoms of the disease, and then you have those that are more severe and critical, and people falling in those buckets. Right now we know there are certain aspects that put those in the high risk category, but you're also seeing very young, healthy individuals fall anywhere on that spectrum. So again, don't know a whole lot about this disease, but we're hopeful that as the days and hours and weeks progress, that we can learn more through factual means. And when I say factual means, you're seeing a lot of information come out, a lot of things being published, not going through peer review. So I caution anybody that's going through a lot of and reading a lot about this, and making sure that you're reading peer-reviewed information, things that actually happen.
Dr. Syra Madad, before we talk about that kind of information, just your own is so important for people to see someone who has recovered from COVID-19. You have 3 kids, right? Your last child you just gave birth to in January. Can you talk about the kind of decisions you had to make when you tested positive and what it means to isolate for a mom like you and a new mother?
So, as you mentioned, I actually delivered in January. My youngest, my baby girl, turned 3 months most recently, and I'm a breastfeeding mother 100%. So it was certainly difficult, to be able to isolate myself from my children, knowing I potentially already exposed them after I, had gotten my test results. Because from what we know, you can actually spread the virus before actually being symptomatic. So everybody was already exposed, in our household. And as I mentioned, luckily everybody recovered. But for me, as soon as I became symptomatic, I did isolate myself for a period of time until I was afebrile for at least 72 hours. Certainly had a big impact, on my family. Luckily, I have a great support system. My husband was able to watch the kids, but at the same time, I knew he obviously had it, as well. But
he had it too. He was positive as well.
Yeah, he was symptomatic first, and then I became symptomatic. And so when I did, I was able to isolate myself, and he was not symptomatic during that time. But we had already exposed, our children, if you will. And luckily, they actually had very mild signs and symptoms. We didn't get them tested. The only person that actually did get tested was myself, as a person working in a healthcare system. And my in-laws actually both high risk. One actually on hospice care. He actually did also get tested and did get tested positive. But we're very lucky that everybody was able to recover.
Dr. Madad, you mentioned that the spectrum of illness is so wide with COVID-19. And obviously, we're all just learning about how this disease, this virus spreads. But is there anything that can predict how severe the illness will be in people who get it?
That's an excellent question. And what we're seeing right now is, while we know this virus can infect anybody and anyone, if you will, regardless of your age, regardless of your health status, this is just one of those viruses, we know that it's ubiquitous. But at the same time, there are these health disparities and social determinants that may put you at even higher risk for having a worse outcome. And we're actually seeing some of this play out. So, for example, you're seeing a higher rate of infection in the African-American community. You're seeing a higher rate of infection in the Latino community. And I think when you look at some of the social determinants of health, you're also looking at the socioeconomic status and some of those variables that actually may put them at higher risk because of the type of work that they're doing, for example, as essential workers. Also looking at their living conditions, living in close quarters. I think it was by no accident that one of the first hospitals that was overwhelmed in New York City was Elmhurst Hospital. And the reason for that is that particular area and that zip code is one of the most diverse urban areas in the United States. And you have a lot of families living together in close corridors. And so when we talk about social distancing, and as we've mentioned actually earlier, some people don't have the privilege of actually socially distancing themselves because there's so many people living in their household. And so because of that, you can spread the virus much more easily and quickly. And we're seeing a lot of that play out.
And can I ask you about this this new observation, not really new among the docs all over the country. I had gotten this random text last week. It's not about the pneumonia, it's about the blood clots. And I wanted to read you from a Washington Post piece. A mysterious blood clotting complication is...
It's blood clots. Everybody with a brain understands blood clotting, which means it's Fe3, Fe2. This Keshe Lemmings is saying, what, people? That you're going to turn into if you don't have space alien blood like him, you're not going to survive. And you're going to turn black because you're turning back into what? Your base program from your genes. Because the calcium is what gives you your color, not melanin. So since I'm already down to my last layer, people. If I catch COVID, I guess I'm dying. Right?
Killing coronavirus patients, says increasingly doctors are also reporting bizarre, unsettling cases that don't seem to follow any of the textbooks they've trained on. They describe patients with startling low oxygen levels, so low that they would normally be unconscious or near death, talking and swiping on their phones. Asymptomatic pregnant women suddenly in cardiac arrest. Patients who by all conventional measures seem to have...
Like my mother when she had her lungs the way she was. She was sitting there fucking around with stuff. Or when she was on the stupid rehabilitation center, lost her teeth. She was in the dentist chair with me and gave her the wrong medication. And we're talking and she fell out. I had to call the ambulance, get my mom from the fucking dentistry. It's just crazy, people. First-hand knowledge and experience.
Mild disease deteriorating within minutes and dying at home. And they're saying it seems to be this issue of blood clots. In fact, the first person now who's believed to be weeks before we really believed, a 57-year-old woman in California who's in very good shape, no pre-existing conditions. It looks like she also died in this way of sudden maybe cardiac arrest, and people didn't identify it as coronavirus in the beginning of February. What about this blood clotting issue?
It certainly is an issue, and from what we're seeing, you know, what hospitals are reporting, it is becoming, when I wouldn't even say becoming, it does seem to be a common issue. But what we're also seeing is that, you know, while maybe folks may think that COVID-19 is more implicated with the lungs, we're actually seeing, you know, a number of different organs within the body actually, in distress. And having various manifestations. So you're seeing issues with kidneys and heart and brain and liver. And so the way that it can manifest is obviously very different, and it depends on the individual, the immune response and the body response. But what we also don't know is the sequelae, and what I mean by that is the long-term effects of COVID-19. And this is something, as I mentioned, it's a new virus. It's only about 4 or 5 months old, and we're learning a lot about it, and a lot we don't know. And everyone is really learning at the same time. We're relying on each other to be transparent and show data and share some of the case studies that are, you know, that we're seeing that may help others that are obviously treating individuals with COVID-19. But, you know, I think a good example would be, for example, Zika. You know, Zika was relatively something that a healthcare system did not experience in the magnitude that we did a few years ago. And you saw obviously children, you know, being born with microcephaly and having other issues. Those individuals, those children are still being studied long-term to actually look at the full effect of Zika, and you're still seeing data come out. And similarly with COVID-19, this being a new virus in and of itself, it's going to take years for us to actually see the long-term effects, because you need to follow these individuals for, you know, their entire lifetime to actually see, you know, does it have additional effects on them, not just during the acute stage when they're actually infected and in the hospital, but also once they get discharged, is it going to have any effect on their health moving forward? And really, that's a question that we don't have an answer to yet.
And Dr. Madad, very quickly before we conclude, as I'm sure you know, many people are relying on the development of a vaccine, even if it'll take from 12 to 18 months. But you've said that even a vaccine won't be a silver bullet, as you said. Why is that? And what about your concerns about certain people perhaps not getting the vaccine even once it's available? Why would people do that?
Well, first, I think when we say
my vaccine won't work if not everybody is vaccinated, but what happens if you vaccinate everybody and people still get sick, right? But how does a vaccine not work against someone not vaccinated? It's supposed to be a vaccine. It makes your body build immune systems, right? It's just this bullshit. But we gotta get everybody vaccinated so that the vaccine works. Supposedly. That's how everybody in a place can get vaccinated, but then somehow get sick and infect each other. like what's going on now.
12 to 18 months, that is an optimistic timeline. Is it realistic? I don't think it is very realistic, knowing that, developing a vaccine actually takes years and years. We really need to be very careful in making sure that we're having a safe and effective vaccine to actually administer to the American public and globally. And I think once we do have a vaccine that is safe and proven to be safe and effective, and whenever that will be, we're going to have to jump through additional hurdles, like those that are hesitant to actually get vaccinated. As you may be aware, the anti-vaccine movement is vast. It is actually one of the biggest global health problems that we have in the world. So we need to make sure that even once we have a vaccine available, people are actually able and not less reluctant to actually get vaccinated. But even on top of that, when these vaccines are manufactured, not everybody's going to get the vaccine at the same time. There's going to be a short supply, and to get everyone vaccinated will take years. We're a very, very large country with many individuals, and to be able to vaccinate everybody that is eligible to get vaccinated will take at least a year or two, or maybe even longer. And so we need to really face the facts and know that this is where we're at, and we know that there's going to be additional hurdles once that vaccine is available. And so this whole notion of herd immunity and so on and so forth, we really need to give it a lot more thought.
Well, we want to thank you so much, Dr. Syra Madad, infectious disease specialist, special pathogens expert, featured in the first episode of this remarkable series that came out of Netflix, called Pandemic, which unbelievably enough came out right at the beginning. And Dr. Madad, we're so thankful that you and your family now are safe, are healthy, and we just hope for that for the rest of the country and the world. We also have this breaking news. The Labor Department has just reported another 4.4 million people, U.S. citizens, filed for unemployment claims over the last week, bringing the total over the past 5 weeks to over 26 million. That doesn't even include the millions of undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. who've lost their jobs due to the pandemic, and those who tried to apply but weren't able to. When we come back, we speak to a doctor, a global health expert, about the efforts to stop the deadly spread of COVID-19 with contact tracing in Massachusetts, following those who've been in contact with those who have COVID-19. Stay with us.
So, no follow-up questions on lady. Have you been retested? Are you still infected? You or your kids? What are they doing? How'd they heal you? None of that.
No. Nothing.
Are you breastfeeding your child? Is there antibodies from your child, from you going to the child? Did that help at all? Were you breastfeeding your child while you was in quarantine? Was your breast milk and so forth, since you're a viral doctor, was it sent to a lab and seen if antibodies and so forth were made?
Right? She's a specialist.
Heck, none of that shit was asked, or followed up, or talked about, or subject matter. Don't make no sense to me, people. I'm sitting here using a plasma torch, melting plasma.
She said she
Plasma
just
and
isolated
such.
herself for 72 hours.
No longer. They have a test they do to see if their viral load goes up or down within the 72-hour period. And state if they're fucking non-infectious or cured or whatever. So we got injecting chlorine, people doing silly ass shit, running their shops when they shouldn't be. You got animals are getting infected from people. You got a doctor that was on the Bill Gates pandemic on Netflix that got infected and her whole family infected, but somehow is healed, fully recovered. What's really going on?
She doesn't sound alarmed. She sounded pretty calm.
Still gotta get some Pyrex glass. This stuff is crazy. Eat one spot. That's another spot to open up. Still working on it. Doing the bottom right now. Touch the quartz and multiply piece. Be done. Love and light. Wow. I remember this football. There's our caustic soda. There we go. There's our Drano kit, kids. And hit trend. Keshe Foundation, Plasma Science, 1 cup, 1 life, 1 and 2. 1 and 2? I thought you only needed 1. 3 months ago it was just 1. Now you're on 1 and 2, and as you heard, they're on 3. But what's that, kids, right there? There's copper wire, there's some zinc, there's some blowtorch bullshit. And what's that jar full of? Salt and sodium hydroxide. Alright. Craziness. There's Carolyn, his wife. Right. Now this is what's retarded, because for years they've been telling these people, and I've been arguing with these stupid motherfuckers, going, how in the hell are you making food GANs if you're grinding down food and you're putting it in water? How is that gas in a nanosolid, kids? So here's his wife right here, shared this shit yesterday at 10:54:15. Plasma feed. So remember that German chick always posting that stuff, and I'd ask her, I'm like, dude, you guys are stupid as shit. You're grinding down stuff and it molds and so forth. Like, are you guys serious? Anyhow, Mr. Keith tells us to add food particles in the form of powder, or food GANs, to the human cup in order to nourish our physical form. Eat in front, you will become the cup. Connect to the dimension of the physical shape of copper and zinc for the soul, and then you'll feed the soul fitness at the same time. Now, how many videos I got of people in our shop, honey, doing that? Oh my goodness. Feed your animals with this product at the same time and in the same way. A whole nation can be fed from a single cup. This is why the man's cup has 2 components, the soul and physics, because the elevation of the soul makes it easier to absorb plasma food from the physical cup. At the same time, you are surrounded by the love of the Universal Council, the Earth Council, and the whole family of the Keshe Foundation. In order for the human cup to work well, the main precondition is, of course, to cultivate a good intention, to apply the right wish before realizing it. I give you freely from my soul. Please take what you need to be able to help all beings. I'm present. It should also be known that knowledge, researchers, board members, and members of the Keshe Foundation have all made their man cup. We are all over the world, and now we can all link our cups with one wish. As you've seen in the end of this stuff, like I stated, these people are connecting their stuff and sucking people's souls, dude. It's vampiric. They're doing it with the dynamic reactors. Now they're getting people to do it this way. It should also be known that knowledge teachers, researchers, board members, and members of the world's foundations all made their man cup. We are all over the world, and we now can all link our cups with one wish. We give free of our soul, and we are present in wish, as all the cups of man have connected together. They created a field all over the planet, which feeds every being directly with universal energy. We are present. Don't forget that this cup of the man that feeds is you. Everything that has been put in the world, cup of man has already been put in you. And Ramkesh. Beautiful. This also means we can release or prevent or remove the energy package as the virus from the people. Right. But if you're stating that, how come you're stating you gotta keep living with the shit, right? It all depends on how we create the purpose to serve humanity, the animals, and souls. Caroline Keshe. Bullshit. Alright. There's the 6 nations. He's gonna make us all food for shit to eat on, people. As these states. Right? There's BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China. You understand? These people are integrating other shit together and trying to take over the world. Fuck people off. Right? Trying to blame it on fucking other people when they the motherfuckers that's doing it to people. Right? That shit's insane, folks. The world we live in. People fucking drinking Drano and calling it fucking what can I do with my clay? You see what I'm doing. If you're actually making plasma, you could do something with it. Anyhow. And you got the dummies drinking the Drano. Huge batches of it. And giving it away. My wife blasted them.
Open light, everybody.
And I wish she wouldn't have done it, because you know why? When you did that right there, all you did was give them motherfuckers your information. What'd you do wrong? When I told you not to post that scan. What did you do wrong? You fucking posted that scan. The scan of Eddie in the plasma group on the 17th. That's why here 7 days later, all you hear is your words and my words. You understand? And you shrug your head and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I was trying to figure out why this motherfucker sound like us and talking about the thing, because what did we talk on that day? That. All it do was just took your words and regurgitated it in some fucking retarded shit, man. Love you, man. But shit crazy. You got these two motherfuckers sharing this stuff, talking about we're drinking the fucking, here's the personal cup of man. And then here comes fucking goofball.
Housing, this is the equipment that I use. Intrinsic data field analyzer, SE5 1000.
Right. She gives up the whole information on this gentleman that we've been trying to work on and help. And by doing such, they've been fucking with him. I've been having to work with him too. Well, I'm still working on his pennant for over 2 weeks now. Going on the 2nd week. Why this dude's talking about, oh, it's tracking, you can smell it and taste it and touch it and all this funky shit is in this video here. That's all them people do is take our information. Grip of them in a group. Happy Earth Day, everybody. Butterfly. Dumbass Keshe Lemmings are always sharing pictures of ice cubes frozen. Show us a bottle. I ain't even got plasma in my stuff. It's just fucking from a water filter. It has vortexes in it. For some reason I don't let the sound out. Funny. Alright. Do that right there. See if we can cheat. Alright. No. So I was explaining that I'm using a step-down module, taking power from the microwave transformer, and getting power from it, and powering that from the solar panel, and I'm shooting that into the house. Right in the house on it. Like these guys. And our flowers growing towards our plasma. Can't make this stuff up. Documented. Growing the flowers now. Still, the flowers grow towards our stuff. Our vibrational medicines. See? It's 18.8 volts. 1 hundredths. 9.2 is missing. This is going away. Scoot right in the water. Scoot right. AG, silver is not. This stuff's expensive. But not on all my reactors. At a certain threshold. See? It's 18.8 volts. 1 hundredths. 9.2 is missing. This is going away. So. Growing all kind of crazy crystals on there. Water. And you got AG, superconductivity, room temperature. But not on all my reactors. At a certain threshold. And you make it gold and so forth. From non-nickel materials. Scooter right and silver right there. Almost done. Folding and folding. Folding and folding. Almost done. Adding some wire into it. I'll be doing that on the live. Overnight. See if this actually will upload.